Hello, I'm Reggie Young, and welcome to the productivity course. So let's just get right into it. All right, what is the goal of this system, the goal of this course, and how can it help you? The first thing I really want to talk about is I've really tried to structure this course and the journal system that comes with this as a way to help you achieve goals that you've never achieved before. When I was first starting off in entrepreneurship and really stressed out uh, in different aspects of my life, I realized that I had to adopt a new system, a new mindset, a whole new way of structuring my day to achieve the goals that I set out for myself. Uh, at the time, there were goals to become fully financially free, to start and sell my own business. And I've taken years of experience, other tips and tricks I've learned throughout the past 7 years of journaling and productivity, learning from different people across the industry. And what I've done is try to put that into a flexible system that will allow you to achieve the goals for you, for yourself, and to have that system that you can build for you that's unique to you and that is flexible enough so that you can adopt it and edit that system to best suit you. Now, if you haven't achieved your goals yet, or you're realizing that, hey, you do have some productivity hacks that are working for you in your life, but you feel like you're reaching some kind of a blockage, this system will help you take that to the next level. It is rigid enough, thankfully, to allow for life's curveballs. One thing that I haven't really liked in terms of other journaling systems or other productivity systems is, generally speaking, they are very rigid. You have to follow a set piece of paper or a set prompt. And I feel like following things in a very rigid way doesn't allow for life's curveballs to happen, whether it's, interruptions throughout your day, changes in time schedules, emotional impacts of what life has to offer us, right? Or we get excited with different things. This system will help you stay focused, but it won't be so rigid that it prevents you from fully coming to awareness on what you want to be doing and how best to achieve that. What I will say for anyone who's interested in this system, if you haven't reached your goals and you haven't, reached that higher level of success that you're looking for, please give this system at least 4 months. Follow my system as close as you can. Make slight edits where it is best for you, but give it 4 solid months. And I promise you, this will change your life. One of the benefits of this system is I provide you my journaling process. And with that, you'll be able to see the unique journaling process that I call flexible time boxing, that allows you to make the best use out of a planner and out of a system. So the planner that I have, that I provide for you, is undated, which allows you to pick up and leave off right where you started before. So let's say, for example, a lot of journaling systems, what ends up happening is if you miss a week or a month or a day, it can kind of mess your entire flow up. Next thing you know, you're halfway through their journal and you've only used 2 pages. So the benefit of my journaling system is it allows you to pick up, start, stop whenever you want, as life either ebbs and flows in relation to your ability to stay productive, right? I don't know anyone that's 100% productive, full engines firing, in flow state all the time. And we're not robots at the end of the day. Life happens. So the benefit of this system is that the journal itself is undated. It's not rigid, super rigid. It's flexible enough, and it's also affordable. I don't make much money at all on the journal that I will be talking about. Regardless, I'll still give people with access to this course a digital file of this journal, so you can either use that digital file or make one yourself. But the process itself is meant to be very easy to pick up and very flexible for you in your life. It also encompasses multiple aspects of productivity, right? You'll learn all about that in this course, but I really try and touch on the aspects that drive real change without being a robot, without being so focused on one thing, and making sure we're taking care of all aspects of our life, not just our business, not just our initial goals, but our body, our mind, our health, our spirit. All those things are encompassed into this system to be a total system for you, to make sure you are working on what you actually want to be working on, to hopefully drive the happiness, enjoyment, impact, and fulfillment that you're actually looking for. One thing I want to also mention is that this actually works. This is real life tested journaling systems that I've adopted, having pulled different aspects of different journaling systems and productivity systems I've come across since I started this process of self-help, self-improvement, journaling, and productivity over the last 7+ years. And I've only taken what actually works for me and what I know has also helped a lot of other people and put that into one total system that will allow you to leverage each one of those PowerPoints to help you achieve your goals. Again, this is powerful enough to create real change. A lot of other journaling systems or journals or thought processes can be very focused in one area of your life. And I find that to be, one, pretty dangerous, but two, it sometimes doesn't create enough change, because the reality is we are human and we are more complex than one thing. So I think it's super important to be touching on all these different aspects of our life to allow for true productivity and true impact. So I really try and put all those different aspects into this system to create real powerful change. Again, this is not just for entrepreneurs. For me, I created this because I was in such pain, such a heavy desire to create change for myself in my business. That was the vehicle that pushed me towards productivity, that pushed me towards self-improvement and self-awareness. So this is not just for entrepreneurs. It can work for all aspects of your life, whether you're an artist, whether you are trying to stay in your 9-to-5 job and climb the corporate ladder, whatever it is structured for everyone, and it's not just for entrepreneurs. Again, I want you to know that you can make this process your own. This is how it should be done. This is more of a course to tell you my aspect on it, things I've learned, and feel free to use and modify these things as you see fit. I will say though, please give my process a solid 4 months before you go and give up or before you make heavy changes to this schedule. I've been tweaking this schedule over the course of 7 years, talking to different people, looking at different systems, and I find this to be the most powerful, not just for accomplishing goals financially, but for making sure that you're on track with other aspects of your life. And the last thing I want to talk about as it relates to this slide is that this is my experience. So my experience with journaling specifically is in 2015, 2016, I started really wanting to create financial freedom for myself. I was not happy with what I was doing work-wise. So I felt like I wasn't truly on my purpose. My spirit didn't feel full and like that I was on purpose. And with that came me really trying to reach for higher levels of success, whether that be financially, whether that be enjoyment. And life really became like an overload, right? I had personal things going on in my life, like we all do. I had work coming like on my life, and I had the financial side of running a business, which for any entrepreneur out here knows, once we really get into entrepreneurship, it can be extremely hard financially, emotionally, everything. So I was kind of forced to level up. And with that came a lot of depression, came a lot of sadness, a lot of like feeling stuck. And I just felt like, okay, like I realize now it's not the business decisions. It's not the tips or the tricks or the strategies that I'm doing wrong. It's how I think. It's how I structure my day. It's everything. It's more than just business. It's a total system, and I really needed to level up. So that's my experience with this system, journaling, and everything I've learned to try and put this in for other entrepreneurs and other people who are interested in being overall more productive, but and kind of enjoying the process along the way. The one thing I kind of want to leave you guys with is to remember, where your mind goes, your energy flows. So this is a course on productivity, but we will see over time, and as you get to really understand productivity on another level, it's really more about your mindset and how you structure your day. So just remember that as we go throughout this entire course. All right. The first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to creating a great productivity system is we have to start super high level. Like what is our vision? We really have to create a vision. And what does that look like? So it's not, oh, I want to make $1,000 per month by the end of the month. That's not a vision. A vision needs to be big. This is where we allow ourselves to think about what our perfect life would look like. What does your dream life look like? You want to ask yourself, in 10 years from now, who am I with? What am I doing? If it doesn't even have to be a person, it could be, I'm with someone I care deeply about. I have a family of whatever. I am single and doing this. I have this impact on the world. I feel this way. I feel this way about myself. I feel I may be in this location. I may be in this location at this time of the year, right? Uh, I may feel like the cool air on my face every day because I have a beach house in the Bahamas or whatever it is, right? This is where you dream really big. You have to have that long, really far outreaching vision of 10 years. And then what we're going to do is we're going to break that down into goals, eventually bring it down to 3-month goals, 1-month goals. But that really starts with your long-term high level vision. And trust me, I am somebody that hates doing these things. When I was in university, I actually had to take a class on productivity, and I did all the different things, every single thing you can think about when it comes to planning your time. Sometimes I was forced to do them all. I've done them all. And I've only put the things that really drive change. And one of them, even though a lot of people don't like doing them, myself included, is to write down the vision. So make sure you write down your vision, allow yourself to dream big. Nothing is off limits. Things to consider while you're writing down your vision is think about like the big areas or the big rocks in your life. So think about your health. Health, what does that look like? Does that like your physical health, your mental health? Physical health could be your physique. It could be, all the way down to how you feel. You want to look younger. You want to feel younger. You want to be able to have this kind of flexibility or this type of strength. You want to have multiple aspects of that. What does your health look like? You want to be able to run a certain distance or hold your breath for a certain amount of time. Whatever that is, really try and pull out that vision. Health, wealth, your work, what kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of purpose do you feel right now that you want to have 10 years from now? Where do you want to be spiritually? If that's something that's important to you, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel connected in your body? Do you want to feel connected with nature? Where does that happen? How does that happen? How do you feel, right? Who are you with? That impact I talk about all the times, like, do you want to have an impact on just yourself? Do you want to have a global impact? Do you want an impact on your immediate family? What kind of impact do you want to leave on the world? What kind of, what kind of imprint do you want to leave behind? What kind of change do you want to drive forward? Right? It could be a change in thought process, a change in how we treat each other, a change in work culture, whatever it is. This is the time to really push those things outward into a vision. The next thing I want to talk about is SMART goals. And you probably have heard about SMART goals before, but they are really, really important, and they really help us focus and drive very specific goals. So SMART is actually an acronym, and it stands for S is for specific, M is for measurable, you have attainable, relevant, and then time specific or time relative. So a SMART goal could be something that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. So let's say a SMART goal wouldn't be, I want to be a millionaire. Well, that is specific, right? In terms of the amount, because it has a dollar amount. It's more like a data point. It's specific, a millionaire. Okay. It's financial. It's measurable. It has a million attached to it. Attainable. You may not feel like that's attainable, but it is very much attainable. For some people, you may feel when you write down your vision that it's not attainable. I say dream big. Some other people say don't dream too big, but the reality is you can redo your vision whenever you want. Right? You're not writing down the rest of your life on a piece of paper. This is more of an exercise to really pull things out of your mind and get them down on paper. I say dream big, make it. Don't worry about it being quote unquote attainable. I would say like, okay, can I go to Mars in 1 year? That's probably not attainable, but it really is not that far off to be a millionaire in a year. It really isn't. People do it all the time. You'd be very, very surprised. So definitely stretch it out as far as you can comprehensively in terms of what you think you can do. Maybe go a little bit past that. But saying you want to be a millionaire is quote unquote attainable. Is it relevant? Yes, it could be relevant to your wealth goal, but it's not time sensitive. So what time? Over the course of 3 years or 5 years. So a better SMART financial goal could be, I want to make $1 million in profit in e-commerce, because that's what you want to get into within 1 year or within 2 years, right? That's a little bit more of a SMART goal versus I want to be rich. Being rich is not a SMART goal. A SMART goal would be, I want to be a e-commerce seller, make $1 million in profit, And I want to do that within 1 year. That is more of a SMART goal. So try and think about that when we have our visions and we break them down into goals. Again, it's very important to dream big and then break them down. This is not a exercise where you have to, again, stress out about it. This can take you 10 minutes. It can take you 5 minutes. It doesn't matter, as long as you kind of pull that vision out and try and do it across different aspects of your life. This, for me, generally speaking, is the hardest thing to do. But we'll get into an exercise here on how I recommend doing that. Okay, so for the journal, you will see different aspects of breaking that down. So here we have a vision page. And what we're going to do is we're going to reverse engineer. We're going to start at the 10-year goal, and we're going to work backwards. So again, you can do it across all different buckets of your life. We have health, wealth, spiritual, family, work, purpose, and impact. You can add anything else that you want or remove it. For this example and for the journaling example moving forward, I'm going to use more of a wealth type of goal, because I think that's a lot of goals that a lot of people kind of set out initially for themselves. So it might be a little bit easier to internalize. But what we can do is I've written down each breakdown here. So if I'm working on the wealth section here, I can literally write wealth and then dash, and then now I'm going to start my vision. So what does my vision look like? Well, in 10 years, I want my family I want them to never have to worry about money. That's kind of like my vision, right? It's not a SMART goal yet. It's more of a vision, right? So what does that look like? If my family never has to worry about money, the people I care and love about, and love, not just my spouse or, children in the future. I'm talking like everyone, everyone I care about, my extended family. I never want any of them to worry about money in their life. Well, what does that look like? To me right now, that looks like, okay, I need to have $50 million in net worth. I want to have my vision. I want to have 5 houses paid off, not just 5 houses. Well, I want to have them in multiple countries because I want to be able to move. I really like the freedom of being in other countries. I love traveling. So I want those 5 houses to be in different countries or different areas. I want one where I'm from in Hawaii, most likely in Waikiki. I want one somewhere in the States. I want one in Europe, one in Southeast Asia, one in Latin America, right? This is what I want, and this is what I want to manifest. Additionally, I also want to live off of $30K in interest per month passively. And that's per month passively. This is what I want. Now, they may seem super ridiculous to someone who's never set goals like this before. Trust me, I understand where you're coming from, because the first time I set a vision to be a millionaire a year or two ago, actually 5+ years ago, the first time I started kind of doing these vision worksheets and all that, I hated it. And I was like, this is not really going to work. And I feel ridiculous doing this. Please don't feel ridiculous. This is where you actually start to manifest these things in your life. I wrote down the goal and vision of being a millionaire, making 7 figures, and then I went and actually accomplished it. And before that even happened, people were even coming up to me like, "Oh man, you can be a millionaire one day." And I would kind of laugh to myself like, "Oh, that's pretty crazy to think about." And I'm just selling money online. I'm actually making good money right now, but there's no way I can be a millionaire, right? Well, then things actually happen and they manifest in a really positive way. So don't see this as a ridiculous exercise. Really take the time to do this and draw this out. It's going to make a lot more sense later on. So again, from that 10-year vision of, I never want my loved ones to have to worry about money. What does that look like? For me, it looks like having a net worth of 50 million. It means having 5 houses paid off so I can have that's real stability in my life financially. And then to be able to, one, help other people financially, the people I care about, but also having the safety of living off of 30K of interest passively. That means that my net worth doesn't go down. That's more like passive interest. So what does that look like? Well, I need to have a bunch of money liquid. That's 10 years out, right? I was able to sell a business and generate $800,000 in profit in less than a year. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, what I can do is create 50 million over 10 years. To me, that seems more attainable for me now. That may not seem attainable for you right now, but once you start having a certain level of success, that goalpost will come closer and closer because you realize what you can achieve. And to be honest, we all can achieve this. So again, now's the time to really pull that out. Break that 10-year down into 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. And all you really got to do is kind of cut that down. It doesn't have to be an equal cut, right? From 10 years to 5 years, I said 25 million, but I went from 5 houses to 2 houses. As you scale up, it becomes easier to reach in my opinion, different higher levels of success, right? Generally speaking, it's that momentum, it's that initial breakthrough, that initial layer of massive success that takes the hardest energy to break through. But once we're on that and we get smarter and we're better aligned in what we want to do, our goals tend to come quicker. So 25 million net worth at 5 years, 2 houses, generate 7K passive. And I just kind of broke that down. You can see at the 3-year mark is where I try to get more specific. And the vision for me turns more into a goal. And this is just what I recommend doing. Some people will say, hey, a vision needs to stay a vision. For me, this is where I start to break them down to goals, because now I'm reaching the 1 year and the 3-month mark, and I can start to internalize those vision into goals much more concretely. So you can see I go from 7 million in net worth to 1 house paid off, to 1 of them being in mortgage, to generating 1K in interest passively per month, to selling 1 to 3 businesses totaling 8 million, right? We bring that down to the 1 year. Well, 1 year from now, I want to double my net worth. I want to have two houses in a mortgage. Right now, I like to keep everything very liquid. I want to generate 350K in interest passively. I want to sell 1 to 2 additional businesses that total 1 million in profit. I want to generate 30K per month in consulting income. So now I'm really breaking down what this looks like for me. If you never made money online, this could look as easy as, I want to be a millionaire 10 years from now. I want to sell a business within the next 5 years. I want to launch 5 businesses in the next 5 years. I want to sell 1 business or 2 businesses for 2 to 300K or 500K, right? And you break that down all the way down into where I have right now, which is a 3-month goal, which is to launch and rank a product, or to launch a product and have the ability for it to make 15 to 30K a month in profit within the next 3 months. So what does that look like? I also want to do other things financially. I want to sign up 3 additional high ticket clients to my agency, and I want them to be on a 6-month retainer, because this will help me generate the revenue that I want a year from now, which will help me do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So you can see how it really helps you concretely start to create goals that align to your vision, which is super important. That's the whole point of creating a vision, is to really manifest things all the way out as far out as you can and break those down into goals, and which allows you to create a roadmap for yourself. But it allows you to really start to build confidence that when you start launching a product, or you're working on that high retainer client, or you're looking to identify the next property that you want to invest in, whatever that looks like for you, you know that you're on the path, and it's not just something that's I'm just kind of doing it, right? This just really helps you create things in a much more concrete way. So again, that's the vision page overall. Make it however you want. Follow this process. When I do this for health, wealth, spiritual, family, work, purpose, impact. You don't have to do all of them. You can choose 3 and then do it. Again, make it however you want, but definitely leverage the overarching vision, and then break that all the way down into a 3-month goal. All right. So now goals. How do we handle our goals? So if we looked at our previous vision page, one of my goals was to successfully launch a product that will generate $15,000 to $20,000 in profit per month. Now, the benefit of having a goal breakdown system, or a page like this in my journal, is now you can break down your goals into more, either like milestones or a roadmap or weekly task, but it really allows you to break down that kind of bigger, how do I launch a product that's going to make me 20K a month? It allows you to internalize things and really start to form a structure and roadmap, like I said, towards accomplishing that goal. So all I did is, it's same thing. I'm taking that goal and I'm breaking it down, but now I'm going to break it down into different buckets or different paths. So you can see over here is where I would put the goal. I would write it in, successfully launch a product that would generate $15,000 to $20,000 per month. And then what does that look like, this target? Now you can do target 1, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or you can do it into different buckets, like of different things that you have to accomplish that higher level goal. Again, make this however you want, right? You can go in phases, you can go like left to right phase, or you can go, these 3 things will feed into my goal, right? However you want to do it, it's just important that you do these types of exercises. So for example, right over here, I have to successfully launch a product with 15 to 20K a month profit. What I want to do is I want to launch at least 3 products, because not every product will be successful. Maybe one will make me 5K a month in profit. Maybe one will make me more than that. or I may fail 2 or whatever. I just want to get more swings or more opportunities out there. So I actually want to launch at least 3 products. So I set that as a target here. So I say identify and launch 3 products is what I would put right here. Another target is I actually want to have the finances to do that, right? Or a phase or like a bucket is I need to have the finances to be able to afford 3 product launches. So that's another thing I have to keep in mind. I also want to be able to understand all necessary aspects of this product launch. Again, these are just examples. They're kind of layered with what I think most people who are going to follow me would probably want to do, which is, start an e-commerce business or do something similar. But again, feel free to change this however you want. One aspect here is the knowledge, right? So I have the knowledge aspect. I have to make sure I can afford it aspect, kind of like that potential energy. And then here's like the actual action. So identifying 3 product launches, having enough to finance that, and understanding how to actually do it successfully. And then I went and just broke each one of those down, right? So for a product launch, I'm already thinking, okay, what encompasses a successful product launch? Okay, I want to have 10 opportunities lined up. I want to negotiate with suppliers. I want to have top 5 samples sent to me. I want to go ahead and create the listing and the packaging. I want to do a paid advertising launch on Amazon, and I want to do that with influencers. So I want to do that across 3 products. And that's how I kind of mapped it out. Again, when you write this out, this is not set in stone. This just helps you think about things. Like if you can, take your time and really think about it, because then you can take these further down the pipeline, but don't feel such a big stress when you're doing this. This should feel nice and calm and fluid, and you should feel good writing down these goals and breaking them down, right? Again, these are not set in stone, but they really help you formulate things in a way in which you can really start to take action on it. So again, you can see that I've broken this down. For the other things like finances, I want to make sure I can afford it. I want to make sure, okay, maybe I cut expenses that I'm, maybe subscriptions I'm not using, things that are not important in my life, maybe, get a cheaper place, whatever it is. I want to cut expenses in my life. I want to maybe pick up overtime or consult on the side to pick up additional revenue while I'm doing product research. I want to maybe source only low cost opportunities, right? So these are all the things I'm thinking about to make sure I have enough finances to afford my product launch, to allow me to have a successful product launch to generate me 15 to 20K a month in profit, right? So these are all the things I'm talking about, all the things I'm thinking about when creating a goal. Again, it's just taking that goal and breaking it down into buckets and then breaking that down again. All right. Now we're going to be talking about the big dates, milestones, or the smaller goals and milestones. I personally don't use big calendar in terms of like doing monthly type of goal setting or weekly goal setting. I could probably leverage that more in my life. I did, however, want to provide that for other people, because I know some people like to plan on the monthly. They like to see the monthly view. Some people like to do it on the weekly. But the great thing is you take your goals that you made in the previous step, and those big level goals could go on top of your monthly planner, or you can break down those targets and you can put those targets on the monthly planner. You can put those smaller subtasks that we drew out, and those can be your milestones on the weekly, right? So this is where you start to actually put timelines or put those timelines to date, and you can actually start setting things in stone and be like, okay, the launch date for this product is 3 months from now. So I'm going to go to month 3, right? And I'm going to put month 3, January 15th. You can, for my planner specifically, you would just circle the month here, which is really great because it's undated, depending if you skip the month or whatever it is. Go in, you can circle that month, fill in the date, circle, and be like, okay, launch date here, right? And again, you can also overlap this with your personal life, anniversary with my partner here, or, big date here, or family vacation here, or save $1,000 by this date, whatever it is. This is where you can kind of put those big dates on the monthly or those big milestones. And then conversely, on your weekly planner, you can draw those targets out. Let's say you put the big targets on your monthly. Well, now you can put your milestones on the weekly. And this just kind of allows you to really start to get granular with it. You can see we took our vision and we put all that all the way down into what you're going to do this week, which is super powerful because it aligns with everything that you should have done on the vision page, which is your wealth, your health, your spiritual, all that stuff. If you did it, now you're in full alignment with it, and you know exactly what you need to do for that week, for that month. to align with what you actually want to accomplish. So feel free to leverage this template, use my journal if you want, or create some version of yourself. Again, pick and choose what you want, but I recommend following this process for at least 4 months, and you'll see definitely life-changing results. Okay, now we're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty. The Harvard Business Review did a study on what is the most productive system that you can do for productivity, and they found a bunch of different things. And don't worry, I actually put almost all of them into this system, into this productivity system, and to my journal specifically. But one thing that they've said that helps them, that most people have responded to, has been what people call time boxing. So what I'm going to go over really quickly is what time boxing is. I specifically don't do this. I found it to be kind of limiting and not actually applicable to real life, to the changes that happen in real life. But I want to go over them for you. And it provides a very simple system for someone to start using today, and then maybe graduate to or do other things and really start to layer their own productivity system on it. I feel like I've already done all that hard work. I've gone through the failures of the benefits of time boxing, but also the limitations of it. But I want to quickly show you what time boxing is. So time boxing is basically, if you're looking over here at your chart, you have, okay, at 10 o'clock, you're going to do a certain thing. That's basically time boxing. If you look at like your calendar, you're like, okay, I'm doing lunch at this time, meet with this person at this time, gym at this time, and whatever it is, that's time boxing. That's supposed to be the most productive thing for most people to go after and achieve their goals. That process that most people do, they first start with a brain dump. So the brain dump is right over here. They just write down things they have to do or things that they're thinking about. Okay, I need to do this. 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 And then they go out and they may write down, okay, so at 7 o'clock, I have a meeting with boss. I'm doing this at this time, this at this time. And then what they do is they write down their top priorities, right? And that's important because at the end of the day, when you're super busy and things get kind of messed up, you can just go and focus like, okay, what's the most important things that I have to do? Let me just look at my top priorities and let me just start handling them, right? So the brain dump allows you to get everything out of your mind. It's supposed to. And then what you do is you schedule it, okay, so that you know at this time you're doing this, and then you make sure you're doing everything you need to. That's the time boxing side. And then you have the top priority side, which makes sure you're moving the most important thing forward. Now, this is probably the most commonly and widely used, most popular way of creating productivity. Now, what I want to do is tell you the limitations. If you want to, feel free to use my own. I'm going to be creating 2 versions of my planner. One with this as the daily sheet, and then the other with my flexible time boxing that I'll get into after this. But I at least want to show you this. And if you feel like this is already too much for you, you can probably just start with this. But you will see, in my opinion, very quickly why this is limiting and why this can actually prevent you from achieving your goals in the most purposeful and most enjoyable way. So the limitations to this system that I found, and I know a lot of other people have problems with, is that it doesn't allow room for much else. So let's say, what happens if you work night shifts? What happens if one of these days you wake up at 4 a.m. or you're working late on the night, or it's the weekend, or whatever it is? This 5 o'clock thing might not be beneficial for you. Let's say you had scheduled yourself to go to the gym or have an important meeting at 2 o'clock, but your meeting with your boss runs late. Well, now everything's messed up. What if you can't get what you need done in a certain amount of time? Well, it really messes up your entire schedule, and you start looking throughout your day at your 1 o'clock being your 4 o'clock. And then next thing you know, you're really not taking care of what you need to be doing, and the entire system falls apart. So that's what I find to be probably one of the most limited things. In addition to this being kind of like your daily sheet of paper, it doesn't leave room for much else. And there's so much more that goes into productivity other than what I have to do today. There goes habit tracking, which helps you build momentum and fluidity throughout your entire system of what you're doing. There is no habit tracking on here. There is no gratitude, which is super important. And I'll go into the reasons to why that's important. There is no space for self-reflecting on how this went for your day. There is no goal setting that happens on the daily, and I'll explain why that's ultra critical for going through your goals every single day. There's no affirmations. Some people love using affirmations. It's one way of manifesting. You first manifest verbally, and that allows you to build confidence. It allows you to create momentum. There's a lot of powerful things behind affirmations, but there is no affirmation here. There is no prioritization behind, other than your top 3 things in the day, right? And that can also be very limiting. It's also too rigid, in my opinion. Like I mentioned before, if something happens, you fall asleep, you miss your appointment, you got stuck at work, something happened where you actually have to take a longer set of time to accomplish one of your top priorities, it messes everything up, because now you're like, again, your 1 o'clock becomes your 6 o'clock, or the other way around, and everything's messed up. So a lot of this stuff is too rigid and can only be used that way. It's just not flexible, right? Other journals tend to hyper focus on one thing, but leave other things out. So for example, could be really good for productivity. But what about how you feel throughout the day? What about gratitude? We have things called gratitude journals, but the downside is you end up carrying a journal that's just for gratitude. So you end up having one for gratitude, one for reflection, one for productivity, one for your monthly, one for your weekly, one for your vision. Next thing you know, you end up not ever using that planner long enough, and it doesn't stick with you. I've been journaling for years now, and I've really tried to pull together a process that allows you to do all the things that are important in your life beyond just productivity, and to allow it to be flexible and actually impactful in your life. So this is daily. This is what we call time boxing. This is the traditional time boxing method. Feel free to try this method for yourself. Additionally, when you go to visit what I have to offer, you'll see what I call my flexible time boxing journal, which you can order. And that's the one I recommend using, or the system I recommend using. But if you still want to, you will see options for time boxing, traditional time boxing, and feel free to leverage that system as well. I just think it is very limiting. And I believe that anyone who uses this in a sustainable way will also find it very limiting. All right. So before we move into what I call flexible time boxing, I want to first show you some big picture decision-making frameworks. And these are very important because it'll allow you to create tasks in a much more efficient way. And it'll make sense as to how to create the best productivity system for you. The first thing I want to talk about is what they call the Eisenhower matrix. I probably might have misspelled that. I probably have a few misspellings here, but totally okay. I'm just going to really dive into it here. The Eisenhower matrix is a way of prioritizing things in your life. So you have different quadrants. Here you have what we call urgent and not urgent. And then over here we have what's important and not important. So if something that is very important and urgent, which means it needs to be done right now, this moment, that's what you want to be doing. If it's urgent but not important, then maybe we delegate that, right? So, but the downside is when it's just you, sometimes you can't delegate things to anyone, right? So this system kind of falls apart, but it helps you think about what's important and what's not. So if it's important and urgent, you should probably do that right now. If it's urgent and not important, maybe we put that lower down the list, or we try and delegate that. If it's not urgent but still important, well, maybe we want to do that, but just later on. If it's not important and not urgent, well, then we shouldn't be doing it at all. So these are just one really important framework to think about as you set priorities and tasks that you have to do, right? So I tried to come up with a list of things that people would probably do as entrepreneurs, but also in their daily life that I've come across that I've had to do. So one thing that I had to do, and for this task, we're talking about, product research, launching a product to make 20K a month in profit. What's important for me? Well, it's going to be identifying the product that I want to launch. So that for me is going to be important and urgent because I need to get that done now. So that would be an urgent task. Something that is urgent but not that important would probably be maybe my long-term goal of building a personal brand. Maybe I want to post something to social media, right? So I can either delegate that to a virtual assistant or maybe put it much further down on my priority list. The other thing I want to talk about is probably like we all have to eat. Most of us go and buy groceries. That's important, right? It's an important thing, but probably not that urgent right now. So for me, I would probably put, okay, product research number 1 on the day. Number 2, I'll probably do my number 2 task would be social media. My number 3 task is to make sure I get food. Number 4th task would be to check my spam box. I still want to do it. Not urgent, not important. not right now, but maybe if I'd never checked my spam box for my email, I may get so many emails that I may miss an important email one day because it goes to my spam box, right? So this kind of allows you to create some kind of framework for what's important versus what's not, and either tell you to either get rid of it or just put it much further down on your things to do list, right? The next framework I want to talk about here is the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule, Pareto's law, it basically says that 20% of our inputs account for 80% of our output, or 20% of something accounts for 80% of the rest of it. So a great example would be 20% of the tasks that I've identified I need to do will account for 80% of my results, right? Of a list of 10 things, those 2 things will drive almost all the impact or all the results. So it's a really great way to think about things as you go through product research, whatever, even buying groceries. What are the top 2 things I need to get right now to make sure I have what I need, right? Or what are the 2 most important clients that I need to focus on to drive 80% of my revenue, right? What are the 20% of things I need to do in my job to make sure I cover 80% of the things that my employer cares about, right? Whatever it is, the 80-20 rule is a really great way to start honing in on things without having to go through an Eisenhower matrix, and just helps you really focus things down. The next thing I want to talk about is what we call the one thing. And it's just a question you ask yourself. What's the one thing you can do in your life that will make all other things insignificant, right? Groceries, okay, yeah, it's important. We got to eat, all this kind of stuff. But what's the number one thing that you can do that will make all other things insignificant? This is just a really great focus question to make sure that you're working on the highest priority thing in your life. And it sounds super basic, but you'd be surprised when you forget to ask yourself these questions, you end up working on things that could be the second or the third most important thing. But when you ask yourself, okay, what are my goals? What's the number one thing? It helps everything else fall off to the wayside. And it's just very, very, very great focus questions. So these are the things that we're going to take into the productivity system. All right. So this is where the magic happens. This is what I'm calling like the daily page, or what I think is, in my opinion, the most balanced. Again, it's important to say balanced, high productivity page that we can get in a journaling system. Now, we could make a journaling system that is 4 pages long for one day, but next thing you know, you're carrying around a book this thick that'll only last you 1 month, right? And that book would probably be very expensive. So how do we create a journaling system? How do we create something that allows us to use probably 1 page in an efficient manner, but still accomplish all the things that are important towards creating a balanced, productive, and goal accomplishing system? So this is what I call the daily pages, and it has what I call flexible time boxing and self-reflection. So here we have the time boxing. If you remember in the past, or the other example, you probably had hours here, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m. The great thing about this is you can start this whenever you want. Let's say your schedule doesn't matter what you do, you actually can't get anything done until 4 p.m. that day. Because as soon as you wake up, you're in such a rush right now in your life, you don't have time for anything. Your real day for yourself starts at 4 p.m. It could be that. Well, then now you can actually say 4 p.m. or you can start writing things down here. So this is what I'm just going to call the overview section for the time boxing area, right? Right over here, we have a gratitude and reflections section. And this is where we normally start our day. So one of the things that we want to do is we always want to take time to think about things we're grateful for in our life. And it sounds pretty basic or something you may have heard about before, but this is so critical because when you start your day with gratitude, you actually raise your vibration, you raise your energy level, and that allows you to get into a completely different mindset before you start working. Think about it. You would already know that if you're pissed off, angry, and exhausted and working from that space, you'd probably do different types of work. You could be working on the completely wrong thing or working it in a way in which you're really just driving things forward in a really angry or really frustrated or not the highest vibration or happiest version of yourself. So we actually always want to start the day with gratitude. And then we can also end the day depending on how you want to use this sheet with a little bit of reflection. So you can just really write down a few things. Hey, I feel grateful for this. I'm really happy that this person is in my life. I'm really happy that traffic at work today was really light. I'm really thankful for my family members in my life, that they're alive, or they're healthy, or that I'm healthy, right? This is a really great place to start. You just write down a few words, right? We sit with the feeling and we think about how we feel, and we try and find things that we're grateful for. And if you can't find something that you're grateful for because you're just having a really bad day, a really bad week, a really bad month, you can always be grateful for your breath. Sometimes we may be sick, but you can always be grateful that you have your breath, right? Because you have the ability to breathe and be alive. That for me has been a real anchoring point. Sometimes when I struggle with gratitude, I'm like, well, I can at least breathe, right? I can breathe. And sometimes we don't realize how much of a blessing that is in our life to be able to breathe. Find some gratitude, write down a couple of words or a sentence or two, really try to feel that, and start your day with gratitude, or come back through at the end of the day and write what you're thankful for. You can say, hey, I'm really thankful for this, right? You can end your day with gratitude. So that's why it's a gratitude and reflection area, right? So we have our time boxing section, which I'll get into later, but we actually start our day with gratitude. We come down here. Again, I'm just kind of going over the flow right now. We come down here and we write our goals for the day. Not our goals for the day, but our goals for what we want to do. For me and my system, what I do is I choose goals that are 3 months out, right? Because we had our vision. We broke that vision down into 3 months. So we already know what our goals is, or what our goals are for 3 months. When we write our goals down every day, it really helps us focus on what's important. Because sometimes we get so wrapped up into things, we immediately jump into a task that we're not ready for, because we're not sitting in the highest version of we're not like thankful. We're not like all excited and feeling grateful and happy in that sense. We didn't kind of prime our mind, body, and spirit by being grateful. And then on top of that, we're not doing things that align to goals. So when you write your goals on every day, one, you write it down, and it sounds very basic, but writing down your goals is you manifesting your goals in real life. There's a lot of science and people that'll say, find people who have achieved really big things in their life and ask them, did you ever write your goals down? And they'll say, yes, that they did. You'll be very surprised. The disproportionate amount of people that have achieved amazing things in their life, the amount of those people that actually wrote it down, you'd be very surprised. So definitely write down your goals every single day. Now this could be, it doesn't have to be a whole massive goal. Like I want to launch a product that generates $20,000 a month within the next 3 months. I literally just write down 20K Amazon, right? 20K Amazon or whatever. And that would be my wealth goal. Well, what's my spiritual goal? What's my travel goal? What's my impact goal, right? It could just write down your goals every single day. This process from here to here, this whole sheet literally only takes probably 5 minutes, but it sets you up for success in such a massive way. So we want to take that time to do that. So we write down our goals, whatever they are, just write them down. And then as I'm writing them down, when I write down 20K Amazon, really quickly, I'm kind of feeling into that. I may imagine myself, with 20K in my pocket as I'm writing. I'm really thinking about this, because where our mind goes, our energy flows, and that is where we start creating action. And that's where we start creating focus. So as I'm writing down my goals, I'm just really quickly thinking about them and trying to put energy into that. I write down my goals. Once all my goals are listed down, literally takes probably less than 30 seconds. I'll write down my due date. Now, for me, I know that due date is 3 months in advance. Now, I don't write down a new due date every month. If I did my vision today, I would do, today plus 3 months, and I would just keep that due date, that same due date. Because then I know, let's say 2.5 months from now, I wrote down those 3 goals and I'm like, I'm not really near that benchmark yet. And it kind of helps you either kick up the gas or kind of like work on different areas to make sure you're aligned with those goals and that you're staying on track. Right? If you just jump into daily time boxing without going through your goals and without going through your gratitude and without realizing your due date, you're driving blind. You could be driving in the completely wrong direction and working on things that are not important. So these 2 things are ultra critically important. And there is enough space to do that on this page every single day. And it can't be overstated how important it is to do what I just talked about. Okay. So we have the gratitude section, we have the reflection section, we have our goals and due dates and why they're important to write them down. Really quickly, I'll talk about the very beginning, the very, very first part. We always want to have a date so we can either reference these pages in the past. It helps us know, like, hey, keep track of time, as sometimes you get so busy, you forget that it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. And it just helps us kind of keep track and keep momentum throughout the day. Or throughout the weeks or the months. So I always write today's date and I'll actually circle, is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is, I'll circle it. Then I'll move to gratitude, goals, and then I will start my flexible time boxing. Now, some days you could be so busy, you could just be starting out, you don't have time, you feel like this whole system is just overwhelming and there's no way you want to sit down, you don't want to take 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to do a full daily page. Well, you could just come through and be like, literally you could spend 2 minutes, 30 seconds writing down what you're grateful for. You could feel grateful for your breath, for the opportunity to do better in your life, for the opportunity to support your loved ones, to have the impact you want, whatever you're chasing. You could feel that gratitude. You could go and write down 3 goals or 5 goals and the due date. And then you can just immediately say, hey, what are my top 3 priorities in my head using those business framework decisions that we talked about? What's the one thing I can do today to drive the most impact in my life? I'm going to write that down as today's priority. What's the second most important thing? What's that 80-20 thing that will make, that will drive 80% of the results? That could be priority number 2. Number 3 is like, okay, I really got to do groceries today or I'm not going to be able to eat, or I really need to call this person or call a family member or do this in my personal life or do this for my self-work or my happiness or whatever it is. I could make that my number 3 priority, right? And then you could, next thing you know, boom, you have 3 things done. You just aligned yourself really, really great on a day, and you can go through and leave down here. I have a notes section, things I'll talk about here soon. But really quickly, if you're in such a rush, there's no excuse where you can't just take 2 to 3 minutes using this system. And then you have this whole other section here you can use flexibly however you want, right? So I'll get into that next. I'll get into that next, but it's super important that we use this right side of the page every single day, no matter what. Now we're going to get into for me, which is the juice, the nitty gritty, the flexible time boxing. So what is flexible time boxing and what does that look like? I'll go over that here on the next page. But before I do that, I want to show you really quickly this habit tracker down here. Now, this is just a simple habit tracker and it allows us to keep track of habits. I will later on in the course talk about all the different habits that you can build right now to help you drive more action and more enjoyment in your life. But right over here, we have a quick habit tracking box. And like, for example, it's like, drink, a water bottle, drink 5 water bottles every day, right? So it's like, now you have a ticker. You can just keep track of whatever you're doing, gratitude, whatever it is. And then right below that, you have a notes section. That could be affirmations. You could write your affirmation every single day. You could leave that as a notes section. You can draw a picture every day if you're someone who loves to draw. You can write your workout of the day. Whatever it is, you can use that free space for you for that day. And it's a limited thing that a lot of other journals don't have. Try and find a journal that balances all the things I just talked about. It's going to be really, really hard to do on one page. If it's on 2 pages, it's all over the place. But this system here will help you. So now let's jump into what I call the flexible time boxing, and we're going to really dive into it now. All right. Please try not to get overwhelmed with what I just put on the screen because it is a lot, but this is what a full page looks like. I'm going to go through that process now here from beginning to end. So for example, if it's June 6th, I'm going to write June 6th, Monday. Let's say that's a Monday. I'm going to circle Monday. I'm going to write down really quickly things I'm grateful for. So what I'm grateful for, I'm grateful that I went to a movie last night with my friend, or that I just went to, or I'm going to go to one today or tomorrow or next week. So I'm really grateful for that. So I'm going to I literally write movie with friend. Super simple. I'm not writing a full diary out, right? This is just meant to feel that gratitude, write it down and move on. So I'm feeling that gratitude, like, yeah, I really enjoyed that moment with my friend and I really connected with him. Next thing is, a stranger held the door open for me and smiled. So that really, for some reason, that really made me happy. So that help from that stranger that either helped me move or open that door. I really appreciated that help from a stranger. I also really appreciate opportunity to achieve more. I have that opportunity in my life. I have the time to do it. I have the space to do it. I I have the money to do it. I have the willpower to do it, right? So this is the opportunity, man. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Other people don't have the opportunity. They don't have the income. They don't even have the time. They don't have the health to do that. You have the health, hopefully, to just, spend 30 minutes a day building a business or achieving your goals, right? So you have the opportunity to achieve more. Some people, aren't even alive to create, to do things that they want. So we have opportunity. I'm super thankful for that. I love my family. I love my partner I'm with. So I sit and I just feel that love, right? Feel that love from them to them, whatever that is. Again, if you can't be thankful for anything, I'm thankful for that breath. Man, I'm thankful to be alive. And then I went for a walk in the park this morning or yesterday. I just remember how good that felt to be walking on the beach, walking in the park, or just walking around the block, right? Or that 5-minute walk out in the cold or on the nice feeling of sunlight on my skin, or like skateboarding or surfing or whatever you're doing, right? Man, that felt so good, right? That could take 30 seconds. I'm good to go. I feel great. Now I'm going to step into my goals. 20K profit per month on Amazon. Yeah. Yep. That's important. I want to build the habit I want to build the habit by the end of the 3 months that I'm meditating every single day. I want that habit built into me. I want it rock solid. So that could be another one of my goals. Yep. That would be meditating every single day. I want to make sure I saved $1,000 for my family trip. So and I want to have this fitness goal. I want to be able to run this far or bench this much, or to have this yoga sequence like fully done, right? So this could be the 3 goals or 4 or 5 goals across different areas of my life. I literally just wrote that down. This process, again, takes just a few minutes. Then I wrote down the 3 months from when I started these goals, which was September 6th. And now I know how far away I am that I have to achieve that habit, to achieve that 20K profit per month, to save $1,000 and see how far I am from my fitness goals. That literally takes a few moments. After that, we can do the top 3 priorities, but instead I'm going to show you, which is where I normally move to, which is the time boxing. So now, if you remember the brain dump, this is where we just dump things down on the page. So don't look at any of these numbers. Don't look at any of this. Just think to yourself, man, what do I have to do today? You could have so many things going on in your head you don't even know, right? The downside to just filling in a time schedule is you could end up later on in the day realizing you have something else to do, or something else pops up in your day and you have to fit that in. Well, how do you fit that in, right? This is where it's really important to be flexible and have a flexible system. That's the benefit of this part of the page. It's flexible enough, but rigid enough to allow you to do what you need to. So what I normally do is I just brain dump whatever I need to. I'm just like, okay, things I got to do. I got to post on social media. I got to do product research. I want to have dinner with a friend. I got to finish a course. I know I need to meditate. I have to check my email because I saw an email on my phone. I have to check it. I have to do my monthly budget for the month. I'm basically out of groceries. I want to go to the gym today, and I want to do arms, and I want to do a run. I have to call my sister. I'll also have a super important meeting with the boss at 9 a.m. I also have a follow up with a client in my business. These are all things I know I have to do, right? I literally just dumped it off of my brain. I didn't think to myself, okay, I need to post on social media. What time I'm going to post on that? How important that is in my day in relation to my goals. I didn't think about any of that. I literally just brain dumped. I brain dumped in the same location where you're going to organize things. So after you do your brain dump in no particular order, you literally can write it however you want in any sequence. You can skip spaces. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of this. You literally just brain dump it all on one section here. So I brain dumped it all, right? And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think to myself, okay, what's the most important thing? Or what are like the high priority things I need to do? So I can look at this list and be like, yep, well, I already know my goals here. I already know that product research is probably number 1. So I'm going to write 1 right next to it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, okay, what's the second most important thing? Probably this one. The third, it could be this one. So I write 3, I write 4, and I literally start writing them down based off what's most important, what's going to drive me towards my goals. Now, this is the beauty of this thing is it's flexible. We could have 3 things that are most important, but what if they're time sensitive? What if one doesn't happen till later on, right? We could be reaching out to a client, but that could be throughout the day. You could send an email, then wait back for the email. You could, things don't just happen in 20-minute blocks. We don't just do something and accomplish it in 20 minutes all the time with perfect productivity, right? Things things happen in life. So the benefit of this is you may structure like, this could be priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but around 5, you maybe want to go to the gym there, right? You can structure this however you want, but the beauty of this is it allows you to create priority beyond 1, 2, and 3, because the reality is when we're doing a lot, we're doing more than just 3 things out of the day, right? Checking email could only take 5 minutes, or going to the gym, or calling someone, or taking notes, or doing a meditation exercise. We always do more than 3 things in the day, but what order do we want to do this in? This allows us to really drive down that order from 1 to whatever it is, right? So after you do that brain dump, I'm just going through, I'm like, okay, 1, this is 2, what's the next most important thing? 4, 5, 6, right? So I really end up with a list of things that I have to do. So I'm like, okay, I have 11 things that I just brain dumped. Now I just organize them by what's most important. I could also be thinking about that Eisenhower matrix. I could be thinking about the one thing. I could be thinking about 80-20. I could be thinking about the timing throughout the day. Like, okay, I know gym happens more in the afternoon than the evening, however you want to do it. And you kind of prioritize it based off of time, based off of priority, right? However you want. I always do priority with a little bit of time flexed in there. But at the end of the day, all we're doing is we're creating a priority from 1 to whatever it is. The benefit is now you don't have to move it around, right? Now, if I have to any free time or whatever I'm doing, the first thing I'm going to do is product research. So after I went through my brain dump, after I organized from 1 through whatever it is, what I want to do is assign a time value to it. So if it's like, okay, product research, how much time am I going to dedicate to product research? I ask myself, how long will I take, or should it take, right? Product research, I want to spend about 2 hours today doing it. I think it'll take me 2 hours. So I literally write 2H. And I just go down the list. Social media, 15 minutes to post. Product research, 2 hours. Dinner with friend, that'll probably take an hour and a half. Driving there, everything. Finish the Amazon course I went through. It only takes me an hour left. Meditate should take me 15 minutes. Check email, 15 minutes. Monthly budget, 30 minutes. Get groceries, should take me, I'm in and out, 30 minutes. The gym, all said and done, I'm an hour and a half. I need to call my sister really quickly. That's going to take 15 minutes. Have a meeting with my boss. That should take 30 minutes. Follow up with a client. That's 15 minutes. Now, the benefit of this is if I did flexible time boxing and something took 2 hours or 1.5 hours, I could end up taking like half the day. But if I miss it or don't get to it, right, it really messes everything up. With this, we literally can go through and we know what the most important thing is, how long it should take, right? And we know the least important thing and how long it should take. You can really start to really line up and you get a much bigger picture of your productivity, how long it will take, the value of it, and whether or not you need to be doing it right now or move it around or whatever that is. The benefit is after I go through and I sign the time here, I just quickly add it all up. Now, generally speaking, I do things in either 15-minute intervals, half-hour intervals, or hour intervals, because it makes it very easy to add up. And things that take 5 minutes, I just call them 15 minutes, just because it gives me some flexibility. It makes it easy to add things up, right? So even small tasks, I'll do 15 minutes or 10 minutes. It just makes it easy to add up. I'll quickly add this all up and identify, oh crap, I just made a 9-hour day for myself. I literally just made a 9-hour days. But the great thing is, at least I got everything on paper, right? Right now, I'm financially free, so I can spend all my time on this if I want to. If I didn't have a full-time job, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to do all this. Well, dang, maybe I cut product research by half. Maybe I don't do, maybe I don't do 10, 11, 12, or whatever it is. I don't do the other things that are important. But the great thing is now you know that you're either going to make your time, you're actually going to do what you need to, or you're not. You have a really clear picture immediately. All your things are on paper. You know what's important. You know the order that needs to be done because it's already balanced out, and you know how long it's going to take you. This is super powerful, super, super powerful. After that, what I can do is I can put top 1, 2, and 3, because I know number 1, I know number 2, and I know number 3. I can put that over here in today's priorities to make it really nice and easy for me to see if I want to. It's a little bit of an overlap, but at least I can pull those off to the side and focus on them, depending if you just did this only for today or you did everything and you want to pull off to the side. So once all that is done, right, this again could be I promise you, it seems like a lot, but this literally only takes 5 minutes to do this entire thing in terms of laying it all out. But the great thing is you have a solid roadmap that's aligned with everything. Everything's balanced out. You have full control, full visibility on everything that you want to do that day, right? What I can do here is also leverage this notes section. Here again, I left this open. Some people love affirmations, some people don't. Here you can put down an affirmation like, I will become financially free. You literally can go and write that down. I will become financially free. You write that sentence out and you verbally say it. That's a whole other thing into affirmations, which I won't go into. But if you believe in affirmations and you know how powerful they are, this is where you write your affirmation. You can write it right there or just not even do it. Up to you. It's that flexible. It can also be a notes section. So you can put notes like, oh, throughout the day, you realize that you need to add flights to your schedule. Something came up, so I'm going to write a quick note. So, or like, hey, follow so-and-so on social media because they have great content. Or, the workout of the day. Some people don't work out enough to want to put down their full workout or their full nutrition or their full, whatever it is. You can use that whole free section down there throughout your day. But as I'm going through my day, what does that look like, right? We have the whole layout here, but what does that actually look like? So let's go through. Let's pretend, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm starting my day. First thing I'm going to do is product research. I just spent 2 hours. I just finished it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to physically cross it off. This is super important to physically cross things off as you do them. I know it sounds super basic. I hated doing it. I actually had to do it for a college course. I had to cross off things as I did them throughout my planning. I hated it, but after like a week or so, I got addicted to it, and it creates this positive feedback loop for building habits, and it creates this reward system for you. So as you go through things, literally cross them off. One, it'll give you that feedback, but two, it'll make the rest of the list easy to identify. You're like 1, 2, okay, what's the next thing I have to do? 3. Step 3, call my boss at 9 a.m. or boss meeting at 9 a.m. It's not 9 a.m. right now. It's 8 o'clock or it's 7, or the boss rescheduled, right? Because that happens. Let's say the boss says, hey, actually, sorry, yeah, meeting's at 12 o'clock. If you're using the other system, your whole thing is messed up now. But with this, you're like, okay, it's not 9 a.m. right now, or it got pushed back. I can immediately jump to 4. So I'm working on 4, right? This is so flexible. Let's say you got done with 1, 2, and 3, but for some reason that took the whole day because you just had to get that done. You knew getting 1 and 2 were high priority, right? You already checked them off. You probably can't get through the rest of them. But crap, you only have an hour left in the day or 2 hours left in the day. What's most important? Okay, I know I got 4, 5, and you can immediately identify 4, I got 1 hour left, 5, I got 50 minutes left. You can immediately identify what you need to work on in the order that it's important because you've already done that work. And again, that only took just 5 minutes to do this entire sheet to set you up for success. So that is the benefit of doing this. Additionally, we have those habit trackers going on throughout the day. Again, let's say I was drinking water, right? Okay, as soon as I drink some water, boom, I come to the journal. That's a habit. Created that reward. I physically crossed it off. I created that habit, that repetition, that reward system, and I'm crossing off the boxes. Again, I could be building multiple habits at the same time. One could be a grounding exercise every day, right? So now I have another habit that I'm working on throughout my day. Again, you can see this is a snapshot kind of in the middle of the day or in the beginning of the day, however you want. So this is the benefit of doing this, right? You have all these different ways of doing it. Now, that was a lot, but the two things I want to kind of mention as we go through doing this is focus on feelings over words over sentences. What does that mean? When I'm doing a gratitude, I'm really not doing a diary. It's not a full in-depth self-reflection. I'm not saying yesterday I felt so good with my best friend at the movie theaters. We had such a great day with the popcorn and the movie was so great. And we talked about it later and I went to their house and we just really connected. We watched we talked about some really important, I'm not writing that out. I'm really just, sentences don't matter as much as words. If I just put movie with friend, that is me manifesting or writing down the goal, but I'm feeling it, right? I'm feeling that connection with my friend. I'm feeling and imagining those goals that I wrote down, right? So the feeling is more important than a sentence here. So just remember that as you're writing things down. That allows us to make the most use of this space, but also not waste time writing out a full diary or full um, journaling type of paragraph. You're not doing any of that. Additionally, the flexibility. I really want to talk about that. I just talked about different ways you could use this. You could really just come through, spend 2 minutes throughout your day being grateful, writing down a couple of goals and listing down your priorities. Boom, you're ready to move, right? You're already light years ahead of most people in the world who aren't even doing this. But then two, you have the flexibility here, like I just talked about, following my system of one, brain dumping all the things you have to do in no particular order. And then two, rack and stacking them in terms of priority. Okay, this is the most important. What's the next most important thing? This is, and then what? 3, oh, okay, 4, 5, oh, okay, probably do this around this time, 7, right? And then afterwards, come through again really quickly. This stuff literally doesn't take long. I know I'm talking about it for a really long time, but it doesn't take long at all to actually do in practice. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you write down how long everything takes, do a quick add. Sometimes when I'm moving fast, I don't even, I may miss half an hour in terms of my when I add things up, but it gives me an idea if I planned a 5-hour day or a 14-hour day. Sometimes I even wrote down and I planned like an 18-hour day. It wasn't even possible. So I realized, oh crap, let me cut some things out. Let me change some timing on things. It really helps me get clear. But how can I do this in a different way? This is also the benefit. Let's say you don't want to use this system that I just talked about of racking and stacking or creating a time sensitive thing. You could come through over here and just write, okay, my day starts at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 4 p.m., whatever that is. Let's say you wake up at 6 a.m. every day. Let's say you don't start work till 8. Well, instead I'm going to wake up at 5. So you can say 5 a.m. You can make a morning routine, and then you just put work, because work takes 8 hours for the day. So you put work, and then you have from 7 p.m. all the way to 12 o'clock at night. Now you have this whole stack here to work on. You can just lay it out by half-hour intervals, hour intervals, however you want. You literally can make each line half an hour, each line an hour, however you want. You literally can turn this from a priority list to an hour list, right? So that's one of the cool benefits here. It is that flexible. Again, writing a couple of numbers takes 10 seconds, and it's totally worth the flexibility, because you need to be flexible, because life is not as rigid as I'm going to do this at 8 a.m. and I'll be done by 8:30 no matter what, right? And I'll have the highest quality no matter what. So life doesn't happen that way. Times change, schedules change, and output changes based off how we feel and what's going on in our life. Additionally, on this side here, I have the total here, right? I love using this as a time-based total or a time-based tracker for each task. But one thing that some people love doing is assigning a value. Very few people do this, but it is something to consider. Let's say we're saying product research. Now, what's the value of that in my business? You could say, hey, the value of finding a successful product is 10K or 20K a month. So I can literally put a value next to it, like a fake dollar value. I could put 20K. Post on social media. Oh, okay. Maybe over time I could get a couple of clients or whatever. That could maybe be worth 500, right? I'm just making up a number, but the difference between 500 and 20K is huge. So it helps you identify things that are actually on that Eisenhower matrix. What is actual real value? You can load it up and be like, okay, I actually got $10,000 worth of value done today. It's not real it's not real dollar value, but you actually assigned more of like a weighted value to things to help you identify what's important and what isn't. I personally just kind of use a mix of Eisenhower metrics with time, 80-20 rule, and what's the most important thing as I'm going through this brain dump and as I'm going through the prioritization. And it just happens automatically. And I build out a workflow stack in a very powerful way, really, really quickly. But you can use this in a completely different way. Again, you can use this as a notes section, right? Or you can use this as the way that I use it, which is a massive priority list, knowing how long things take, what's important, and I'm using the whole list. And the great thing about this, compared to other journals, is I have enough space for everything I need to do in the day. There's enough lines for you to accomplish as many tasks as you want. So it's very, very beneficial. Highly recommend using this. And again, this is the bread and butter of your daily, because what you do every day matters more than what you do on the weekly basis, in my opinion. If you can get the daily done right consistently, this will be super powerful. So please make sure you're leveraging this. Try this out for at least 4 months consistently. And I promise you, this will change your life. I promise you. So that's it for the daily pages. And let's get into the next section. All right. So the daily pages, the daily pages. The next section is really an FAQ, right? So these are just some common tricks or like problems that I've come across or other people have come across as they try to use any kind of journaling system or any kind of system at all. What do you do if you can't get everything done, right? So let's say you list all these things out and you just find that you're not getting everything done. Well, at that point, what you have to do is really change everything. It could be your routines that we'll get into later on, or you could just be you could be working too slow. You could not be doing the wrong 80-20. If you can't get everything done, the benefit of this is it allows you to see it and you just start cutting things off. You can literally go, okay, I'm really just going to cross off, the lower half of what I'm doing in terms of priority because I can't get everything done. That's when you start to reframe things, change your mindset, change your productivity, change your goals, change all these different things that you'll learn in throughout this course, things you've already learned in this course, you start applying, redo your vision, redo your goals, or change the things later on, which is habit building and routines, which we'll get into later on, right? Start identifying things that you can change and just go ahead and make those changes. Do you have to fill everything out? No, you don't have to fill out the notes section every day. You don't have to do an affirmation every day. I recommend doing at least a little bit of gratitude. Write down your goals and 3 priorities every single day. I highly recommend you do that, but you don't have to do everything. Make this journal work for you. You don't have to build into this master productivity schedule at all, right? Like for me, this system is fully optimized. It's ready to go. It's ready to pick up for anyone to use from day one. But if it's too much for you to do a gratitude journal and goals, just start with this and just do your 3 priorities every single day and then build off of that. Build up to you're getting to the point where you'd have this whole daily page done and ready in 5 minutes every single day. You're going to be so much better off. But if you can't do that because it's just too much for you with where you're at right now, just do a little bit every single day and build on top of that system, right? Just do a little bit every day and build from there. Again, tips on priority. What if you add tasks through the day? So let's say, for example, you did this whole daily sheet, right? And it looks just like this. I just did number 1, number 2 for the day. And then all of a sudden I get an email, or all of a sudden I get called into work, or all of a sudden, an accident happened, an emergency happens, or I just fall asleep because I'm so tired, right? What happens? Well, feel free to edit it. Very few people will actually make an entire list, which is why I have so many line items. If you have to add a task, let's say you have to add another task, like pick someone up from the hospital, not pick someone up from the hospital, but like stay with someone at the hospital for 3 hours. Let's say you're going to visit someone at the hospital, or pick someone up, or work on this whole other project. You literally write that as a new line item, right? And you have to do that as line item 4. I would go, do new project, and I would call it like 4.1 or 4.2. Then I know I go from 4.1, I put 0.1 to 0.2, and then I can leave. Then after that, I'm jumping right to 5. So what it does is it creates that flexibility for me to add something whenever I absolutely need it. And because it's not in a time-based system, right? Like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 p.m., I don't have to move my whole schedule around. I literally just look at that line and I'm like, oh, 5.1 or 5.2, right? And then I go from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, right? So that's how I add tasks to the day if I need to do them. That's just one way of doing it. And again, there's so many different ways to prioritize tasks. Use this sheet however you want, but please use this sheet or use some version of it because it allows you to touch all the things I talked about: gratitude, goal setting, writing them down, focusing on what's important, a list of brain dumping to make sure everything's out of your mind, assigning time to it and priority to it all the way through, while building habits, while having a space to write for things that come up in the day, while having a space to do affirmation. It literally has all aspects on one page. All right, now we're going to get into the self-reflection pages. This is also very, very important, right? We have the daily pages and the self-reflection pages. The self-reflection pages are where we are able to reflect back on how we are doing, whether it's our goals, help pull things out of our mind, help expand on feelings or problem solve things, or just reiterate how we feel throughout the day. The self-reflection page is so critical because it allows us to feel, edit, and re-vector ourselves on how we want to accomplish things in our life, right? It can allow us to reflect and pull things and emotions out of us so that we can internalize them and do better from there. Or it can allow us to realize, hey, our goal, we're not on track. I need to do this and pivot and do something else, or change what I'm doing, or reinforce what I'm not doing or what I'm already doing, right? It's just a great self-reflection. So I want to quickly show you what the page looks like. You can see that the page is sideways. It's not up and down. And the reason why is if you're using my journal, I want to create a lot of space. A lot of other journals, the reflection area is like so small, you can't actually reflect, right? This is a self-reflection page. So I flip that bad boy sideways, and you have the full page to write however you want. And again, it has full flexibility, right? Because you could just, this could be, and I'll get into it, one type of reflection, or you could just reflect on whatever you want. It's just so much real estate to work with, to reflect on, while still providing rigidity that I'll talk about later on. So what does a self-reflection look like? It looks like we're going to start from left to right. We're going to start with an idea or a goal. We're going to ask ourselves, hey, what's the impact to myself, to other people? How do I feel? How does that make the other person feel? Why did this happen? What's the real reason it happened? What's the root cause? What do I have to take responsibility for with what I can change to change this? And let me sit and internalize this really, really quickly, or until it feels like I've internalized it, so I can move forward with my goals and the impact I want to have. So right over here, I have 3 lines here. So you can just do like, hey, this could be one whole thought or one self-reflection, a second one or a third one. You'll see in the journal, this is a really soft gray line. If you want, this could be a whole thing. You could really just write out what you feel. The entirety of it it allows you to have that full flexibility. Now, this could sound very basic, but I'm going to get into a full-fledged example here very soon. I just want to really give you a quick overview of the self-reflection page, letting you know you can turn it sideways. You should turn it sideways. You have all that real estate to work however you want. But what we're going to go through is a process of a starting point, seeing the impact, how we feel about it, the real reason it happened, and how we can do better. Right. So that's the whole goal of a self-reflection. All right. So please don't get confused again with what this looks like. This is a completed self-reflection page. What I want to do is show you first how we start. So if we look on the left-hand side here, we have the start column. How do we start a self-reflection? These are what I call starting points. I came up with an acronym called PEG or PEG, however you want to say it. But it's a great way to start. So how do we start with reflection? There's so many different ways we can start. We can start with a person. We can say, oh, I came across this person today. And so I want to reflect on that person, whether it's, how we interacted. Maybe I didn't feel good about them. Maybe this person gave me a gift, or, teased me, or made me feel bad about myself, or, whatever it is. I'm going to start with a person. It could be a family member, it could be a coworker, it could be the person that you exchange, it could be the waiter or the waitress, or the trash man. Literally, whoever it is, this could be a great starting point for you to build self-reflection from. So that's one person. I literally could write down the person. You could write down an event. An event could be work. It could have been the movie. It could have been a concert you went to. It could have been a restaurant you went to. Whatever, an actual event. Doesn't have to be a location. It could be anything, an event or like an experience. An experience could be, hey, stuck in traffic today was an experience. Work overload was an experience. Having a successful product launch was an experience. Having a failed product launch was an experience, right? That's one starting point. So you can start from there. You could also start from an emotion or a feeling. You don't even know, like, I just feel frustrated today. I just feel frustrated. Why am I frustrated? I feel angry. I feel tired. I feel exhausted. I feel sad. I feel a mix of things. I feel angry. I feel enraged. I feel happy. I feel elevated. I feel loved. I feel without love, right? I feel disrespected. But these are all emotions we can start from. And then we also have the goal. The goal could be 20K on Amazon. It could be have this impact. It could be, bench this much with weights. It could be whatever that goal is, right? This allows us to start from different places. So what I normally like to do is, personally, I like to choose one starting point, and I go through it. So let's go through one starting point now as for this example. So for this example here, I have a starting point. I'm just going to write down again, feelings over words, words over sentences. This is not a diary. We're not writing out today my coworker named John at this place did, it's just coworker. So the start is the coworker teased me, or coworker, right? So I'm doing like a little bit of a mix, the coworker and how I felt. So I could even say like John, I just write the word John because I already know what I'm talking about, right? So right now I'm just gonna write, for this example, coworker, and that person teased me. So that's my starting point, right? Now I'm going to move towards my impact. I'm going from left to right. My impact. So we want to ask ourselves, what's the impact to me, and then to my goals, and then my impact to other people, right? So I ask myself, okay, so the coworker, John, let's just say John, teased me. What's the impact? How is it to me? Well, it created a loss of focus for me in my workspace. Like I couldn't work that well. When I got done with work and I tried to enjoy my free time or try and work on my business, I couldn't. I was frustrated. I had a loss of focus and energy. I felt demotivated. My work environment, the work culture, had kind of like a stigma around it. I didn't feel good about it. So that I would say the work culture was down. It didn't feel good, right? I literally didn't write that out. That wasn't a whole paragraph, but I just wrote down a couple of words: lost focus, energy, and work environment. The beauty of a journal is you can do whatever you want. So for me, to save time and to save like energy in writing, I just put an arrow like down. I would do an arrow or a plus or a minus. I'm like, oh, negative work environment. That's the impact. To me, I felt a loss of energy. To my goals, it was a decrease in productivity. And to others, it created a negative work environment, or to him, and he probably felt good and bold or happy, right? So, but immediately I just wrote down 5-7 words, and I identified a starting point. I identified how it impacted me, right? How I felt. I identified how it impacted my goals and the people around me or other people. That's a really great starting point. And I'm already moving through the impact. Next, we go through the feeling. So the feeling of what happened. So I'm going to move through the feeling. This could also be an overlap of the impact, right? It's totally okay to have overlap. Feeling. How did I feel? Well, this person teased me. I felt angry. But how did I really feel? Man, I felt disrespected. Like, man, how dare they? How dare they say those things after I did this or this person doesn't understand, whatever it is. I felt angry. I'm going to sit with that feeling. It's important to sit with our feelings, right? This is a self-reflection. We're not just writing things down to get through them and get on with our day. This is where, a lot of the real work happens. So I'm going to sit with that feeling. I'm just going to write the word angry. And I'm going to kind of allow that anger to fill me up. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to be like, man, I really screw that guy, right? That disrespect. I don't need that, right? But I'm going to sit with it till, one, I either internalize that feeling. You can even take it a step further and allow that anger to dissipate, which is the best thing you could do, right? You can allow it to be like, man, right? Till it goes away. Some people, it's okay if you want to hold on to that. However you want to take this self-reflection, up to you. Sometimes I like to take it all the way to where it dissolves, or at least I come to an understanding or a level of comfortness that I feel is like good with me, right? Like, man, that really pissed me off. Like, yeah, this is how I feel about that situation, right? So now I felt it. Now what I want to do is move to the next phase, which is why. Why did this happen? Maybe I messed something up at work, and then that person teased me, right? So, hey, I messed this up. I did this error at work, right? Or maybe you didn't mess it up at all. Whatever that reason was, is why, right? You can ask, hey, this happened because that person did this. They did this, so they feel this way. That's one way of reflecting, but that's not their reflection, right? It's not a reflection of them. It is, but what we want to do is reflect on ourselves. So we want to focus on what we can control and how we feel about something. This is a self-reflection, always a self-reflection. It's never so much about the other person or about what happened externally. All this is meant to be is about you. You're journaling for you, right? So if you can take responsibility where you can. That's one of the biggest things. So yeah, I might have messed up on, I could have presented myself better, or I could have double checked my work, or whatever it is, right? Or maybe you did everything right. and that's okay, right? But what you want to do here is ask yourself why this happened. And the best way to do that is just keep asking why. So one of the easiest ways is ask yourself why 5 times. Well, I messed up. Why did I mess up? Well, I didn't really mess up enough for him to tease me, but I could have done better, and I could have set better boundaries. I could have had a higher quality output of work. I could have double checked my work. Let's say you did everything right? But why do you feel this way? Well, I feel disrespected because he said those words. Why does that bother me? What bothers me because deep down I care what other people think. Because he said that in an open forum where other people heard that, and that really rubs me the wrong way because that's not the highest version of myself. Like I'm better than that, and this person is just being disrespectful because they don't like me because I did this, right? Or because I achieve in this aspect of the job, whatever it is, right? But the root cause of what I can take responsibility of is I care too much of what others think, right? If a 4-year-old said that to me, if a little kid said that to me, right, who had no experience or whatever, like I wouldn't have cared too much about it, or so maybe I care too much what that person thinks to cause an emotional response where I feel disrespected, right? It's okay to set boundaries, right? I'm not going to get into that. We want to set boundaries in our life, but we also want to take responsibility where we can, and we identify the root cause, right? So take root cause responsibility where you absolutely can. Take radical responsibility. Of course, it's important to set boundaries in our life. We don't want to just sign up for abuse and just always say, yeah, I deserved it. That's not what this is about. This is about true self-reflection, setting boundaries where you can, identifying how you can do better for yourself and for your goals, right? That's super important. So after I identify the root cause, which could be, hey, I care too much about what other people think. Okay, what do I want to do for the required change? Okay, so my required change is normally the opposite. This is super important. I didn't write it down here. I forgot. The required change is normally the opposite of what the root cause was. So if the root cause you identified was, I care too much of what other people think, it's not, the opposite of that could be, don't care what people think. Right? That's good and bad depending. But what it really comes down to is having more self-confidence in myself. So I want to have more confidence in what I'm doing. Okay, it's okay to mess up sometimes, or it's okay, even if I didn't mess up, I have confidence in who I am, what I want to be doing. I'm not going to let this other person's opinion really drive me towards such a deep feeling of about myself, getting so angry that I can't even focus and I can't enjoy myself, or I can't change the work environment or the culture around, right? So my required change that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have more self-confidence in myself and realize that this person teasing me was more about their insecurity, about their own work ethic. So what I'm going to do is have more confidence, and then I'm going to create a better boundary. So the next time they say that, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to create that boundary in my life, right? So that could be one really great way of reflecting on that person or on that starting point. So now I identified what the change was. I want to move to the next part, which is also really important, is to internalize things. Because sometimes we go through this whole process, we know what we have to do, and then we just stop and we're like, yep, that's what I got to do. And then it's kind of like someone teaches you something, you just taught yourself something, but you didn't actually internalize it. So how do we internalize that? At that point, the easiest thing to do is to verbalize it. So you know what? One, you sit with the feeling because you just sat with it. You understood the required change. Try to sit with it and say, hey, okay, now I'm going to really internalize this. I might even verbalize it. Hey, next time somebody disrespects me and I feel disrespected, I'm going to respectfully set a boundary and also have more confidence in myself because I'm confident in who I want to be, what I want to do. I'll always try to do better, but I will not let people disrespect me, and I will not allow this to affect other aspects of my life, right? So you can internalize that. One, you can verbalize it, sit with it. You could literally take it to the next level, put on some music, and sit with that feeling and really internalize, talk to yourself, go through a whole meditation process if you want to, depending how important that event or that person was in your day or in your goals or how you feel. That you could take to the next level if you need to, or it could just be as easy as, yep, I'll have more self-confidence next time. Boom. So what I do is I usually write a check mark just to be like, yep, I internalize it. And that just helps me create that physical, like, yep, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing, right? So that internalized step is more of a feeling. It's more of like a heart-mind connection and coming into alignment with what you need to be doing. And that can look like whatever it is for you, right? But it's important to go through each one of these steps from the beginning all the way to how it impacts us on the physical level, how it impacts others. What do we feel? Because it's so important to process those feelings. If we skip any one of these things, the whole thing becomes so much less impactful. So we want to make sure we do all these things. I want to feel it. I want to know the real reason why I feel this way. And I want to double down or fix that, right? And then I want to internalize that change or what I want to do, right? So this is super, super, super important. And so that's one example that I just went through. Again, there's so many different ways that we can do this. I just use this entire line. I did one thing on here. That was one entire line. You can see I kind of like use different areas to make best use of the real estate here. That was one item for one line. Here are some other examples. A starting point of feeling just exhausted. Here's another example. A stranger smiled at me, right? You can see in this line, I'm using just small words. So I actually have space for 2 lines. You'll see when you use the journal, if you decide to use a journal, you'll see that there's enough space. Depending on how huge you write or how small you write, there's plenty of space here. You don't have to go through the self-reflection. You don't have to do a full in-depth reflection every single day or whatever. Like, you do it as you feel like you need to, or you can do you can do one line every day, or, however you want. This is for you, right? Use it however you want. That's the beauty of this journal, is if you don't do the reflection, it doesn't, like, you don't have to skip to the whole, next chapter to get to the next reflection or whatever, right? It's use it at your own pace. I recommend doing a self-reflection every single day. But there's so many different ways you can do it. Again, we had the different starting points. Here was a person. Here was a person was a starting point. This was a feeling. This was maybe an experience. Someone smiled at me. Could also be a person, right? But it's just another great way of thinking about it. You could pull back out a goal. A goal could be Amazon, 2K. So you could be a month in at 20K. You could usually write starting point, Amazon. And then like your impact. Impact to me would be life-changing. It could be financial freedom. It could be supporting other people I love. It could be getting out of a toxic work environment. It could be, right, the impact of succeeding or failing. Or you could be like, hey, Amazon, I lost money. Well, what's the impact of losing money, right? So you literally could go through this whole thing. This is one really great way to come back through your goals. Really important to come back through your goals, or come back about how you feel, right? Goals and feeling, really, really powerful stuff here. Another thing I want to really mention here is, as you go through this, there is no one right way to do this. You literally could go through the coworker tease me or thing and come up with a whole nother required change than me. You could do it yourself and go through it again and come through another required change, right? There is no one right way to do it. I would say the only way to do it correctly is to do it, and to do it in an honest way. And an honest way for you would be not lying to yourself. An honest way for you would be trying to do it in a way where you're just calm. Try to stay, if you're angry, like, it's okay to be angry. Just try and like stay calm and be like, okay, I'm angry, but why am I really angry? Right? Or why am I frustrated? Why am I exhausted? Be honest with yourself. And honesty with yourself and doing this is the right way to do it. Right. So I have different examples here. I'm not going to really dive into it. You can pause this and really look at it if you really want to. The last thing I want to talk about here is another way of using the self-reflection, which is also very important. When I do my self-reflection pages, this is how I normally do it. I'll probably do one all the way through of how I really feel that day, or that person, or whatever's going on, or that goal that I really want to achieve. But there's also a whole other aspect of journaling that is very important, right? Sometimes for self-reflection, we just use prompts, which could be another way to start, right? You could start with a prompt here if you want. But prompts need to happen because it allows you to, someone can give you a prompt of something you never even thought about. That's the beauty of a prompt, right? Explain a time in your life where you felt less than. Explain a time in life where you felt like you achieved, like you were on top of the world. That's a prompt. And that can sounds super like, nah, I don't want to do that, right? I've been there. But the great thing is when you actually do that, it really helps you pull things out. So you can start from a prompt. And this is the beauty of it, of you having all this area to write. You literally could just start writing. The prompt could be this, and you just start writing. I felt this way when I did this, and this is what happened. And, and you have that whole space to write a prompt. So you do have that available to you as well. I wanted to mention really quickly, at the end of the course, I will link to a resource with a ton of prompts and a ton of affirmations that you can use on the daily pages, and then again on the self-reflection pages as well. So you'll never be without a prompt or an affirmation if you choose to use it, and I highly recommend you do. Last thing I want to talk about here is Again, this is a great section for prompts, but also what we want to do is what we call like a free write, right? And a free write, the benefit of a free write is it's without a prompt, it's without a starting point. So it's another way of, I guess you could say, starting. When you start from like a person, you start to focus in on that person. When you start from a prompt, you focus in on that prompt. But the beauty about being human, or the expansiveness of what a human experience is like we can listen to ourselves and let ourselves tell us what we need to work on. So when you free write and you just write what comes to mind, you'll be surprised that your mind, your body, your heart, your spirit will speak through and into the paper. And then you'll be like, crap, I need to work on this. I never even thought about that. And what does that look like? How do we do that? Well, people will normally do that in like a diary or a free write, but then what you need is you need a whole page, and you're just write, your word could be, I feel like, and next thing you know, for me, I can't write that fast to keep up with how I feel. So instead, what I do is I just literally write words of what I feel. So I actually did this live example when I was doing this example. I thought to myself, okay, what am I working on? I just had words come out of my head. So I wrote down the words, not even full sentences. I wrote work, and the next thing that came to my mind was cookies. So I was like, work, cookies. And I'm like, I'm waiting to finish this presentation. This is me writing this actual presentation here. This is what I'm thinking about. Work, cookies, waiting to finish presentation, head hurts. I'm like, oh, my head hurts. Damn, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was pushing so hard to get this done because I had so much on my plate that day and I really wanted to get this done. I was pushing really hard. I wasn't hydrating. So that's when I realized, crap, head hurts. And my body, my mind said, you need to hydrate. So that's why I stopped. And that's where I stopped like the free write, and I pulled that out. So I said, boom, need to hydrate. I would circle hydrate so that I can just focus on that. Okay, let me pull that out. I need to hydrate more. I've been drinking so much coffee, too much coffee. I need to decrease my number of cups of coffee that I take just in general. And I need to increase my water intake, because when I decrease my coffee, I think better, I think, more fluid, and water is good for me for many different reasons. So I need to increase my water intake. Now, I might not have ever gotten there if I was doing a prompt, if I was doing an affirmation, if I was focusing on a coworker or an experience. I maybe would have got there on exhausted, who knows? But the benefit of this free write prompt is it allows things to bubble up in your life. And you'd be surprised how much gold and critical things that you need to focus on will happen when you allow them to bubble up. So this is one of the many ways that you can use a reflection page, and that I highly recommend you use for yourself, whether you're using this page or not. Again, focus when you're doing the reflection page, focus on what you control. This should not be an intensive thing. You shouldn't feel like you're writing an English paper, right? If you feel like you're writing your next dissertation, or you're trying to decode life, that's not what it is, right? It can be as easy as like what I just did. Work, cookies, I want to finish, I need to hydrate. Boom, circle hydrate. I'm going to start hydrating. I'm going to build that into my daily practice. And I'm going to go from there. It doesn't have to be this whole drown out thing. But if you want to make it like how I did, you can really build up to this, and you'd be surprised at how powerful this stuff is. And it really only takes everything I just talked about. The daily pages and the self-reflection pages take 15 to 20 minutes to do every single day, but it will set you up for success, and you'll feel so much better. It's super powerful. The last thing I want to mention is you probably saw this little cat dog type of thing drawing on the bottom. The benefit of that is sometimes you just want to be creative. Sometimes you just want to draw something and just draw it out. Some people love doing that. Some people want to draw how they feel. And this is just a great place to do that. You literally could just take the whole self-reflection page and just draw how you feel, right? If that's what you feel like doing. It's just important every single day that you come through. Generally, I like to do it at the end of the day. At the end of the day or the evening is when I sit down and I come through this reflection page, and I'm like, how do I feel about the tasks I did today? That could be a starting point, right? Or I can just draw. If you really feel like drawing, some people, it helps them release stress that way, or just kind of unplug and do things that way. So I just want to let you know, you can also leverage that in that way as well. However you want to do it, but really try and internalize the things that I talked about, different starting points, thinking about how it impacts you, your goals, other people, the importance of sitting with how you feel, getting down to the root cause by asking yourself why, taking radical responsibility where you can, set boundaries where you can, and make required changes and internalize them, whether that's verbalizing them, sitting with them, maybe doing some small to heavy meditation on them if you need to, and then doing some kind of a free write to allow things to bubble up where they otherwise would not have. So that's it for this section, and let's get on to the next one. Let's do creating habits and getting stuff done. So I just went through, right? We went through the whole daily pages. We went through a lot of work, right? We went through a lot. But how do we build habits? Because when we create habits and we get things done, it allows us to kind of connect everything together. When we build a habit, when you build the habit of doing the daily pages, well, now you set yourself up for success. When you build the habit of taking action and actually getting things done, now you're accomplishing the two. So when you put the two together, super powerful. So how do we build habits? The first thing we want to do is learn to create a trigger. Triggers are super important for building habits. Well, now a trigger can be anything. It could be a location. It could be an event. It could be a time, right? It could be all types of things, but we want to create triggers. So here it could be a great example. If I want to build the habit of drinking water, I can say, when I wake up and go to the bathroom, I'm going to drink some water. When I get to work, I'm going to drink some water. So that's a location, right? I could even set a timer that 4 times a day, I'll literally have a timer that says drink water. That would be a trigger. You want to have those triggers. The other thing you also want to have is you want to have some kind of positive reward. A positive reward could be like, yep, when I drink water, if I am able to drink water, when I drink water, I'll be able to stretch or not have candy, but think of some kind of positive reward. If you can stack a reward after doing the habit, you're much more likely to enforce that. So the reward could be as easily as just being freaking happy that you built the habit. It doesn't have to be this huge thing like give yourself $1 or whatever it is. Try and find some kind of reward, and it can be something super, super small, as small as telling yourself that you're grateful, that you give yourself a good pat on the shoulder for doing that. But it could be all the way to, hey, if I do all my habits for the day, my reward is that I'll watch another 30 minutes of Netflix just to really unplug. Whatever it is, try and build some kind of reward into it. I'm not going to go too much into habits and getting stuff done, but I really want to direct you to 2 most important books or topics that have helped a lot of other people out there for building habits. It's Atomic Habits. It's a book called Atomic Habits. For getting stuff done is another book called Deep Work. If you don't want to buy books, you don't have time to read books, because I get it. What I normally do is type into YouTube Atomic Habits summary, and then watch like the top YouTube videos, and you get a really quick understanding of how to build habits in a really powerful way. And then for deep work, it's all about kind of achieving like a deep work state. And with that, of course, you want to have good environments, all types of things. But you can, again, watch a YouTube summary or actually get the book and read it. The next thing I want to talk about is massive action. This has just been a thing for me. For me, it was like when I was trying to get stuff done, building habits was super important. Journaling was super important, but massive action. For me, it was like, okay, we do action, but I thought to myself, I need to create massive, almost unethical action. And that's just for how I internalize it for myself. I'll get into it deeper of how I see work now. But at the time when I first started, it's like, I got to get massive action. I have to get everything done now. It can't just be, oh, I'm just going to sit and just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of work. Like sometimes we get so used to like going to work and just being really half-assed about things. We don't even realize we're half-assed until we try and achieve next level of success. People who do next level of success, generally speaking, their action is also next level. So whatever that word is for you, for me, it was massive action. Whatever that word is for you, try and find it that really triggers something in you to really get up and moving. The next thing I want to talk about is just not to be so hard on yourself. So many people, myself included, other entrepreneur friends I found that have quit or have quit goals. Other people who have quit goals is because they're so hard on themselves, right? Sometimes we set high goals or we don't accomplish what we want to, and we quit and we feel so bad. We're like, I didn't get it done today. I failed the mark every single day for the last day for months. I've been there on a lot of my goals. And I'm sure maybe you have experienced some of the same. Don't be hard on yourself, because when you're hard on yourself, you just make the ditch that much harder to kind of climb out of. The biggest thing is that you don't quit. Don't quit trying. Don't quit giving yourself the opportunity, and don't quit on yourself. If you don't quit on yourself, you will give yourself the opportunity to do better. So that the biggest thing is not to be hard on yourself, but don't, is just don't quit. If you don't quit, then you actually give yourself the opportunity to succeed. The next one I want to talk about for me is using timers. Timers for me have been like the number one way for me to create a trigger, because they work no matter what. As long as, at least for me, for electronics, it's always charged. I always have a charged cell phone personally, so my timers almost always work. Your timers could be physical or electronic. You could get a Post-it note and put it on your door. You could put it on your fridge. You can put it on your when you're driving as like a quick affirmation. You can put it on your work desk station, right? It doesn't have to be a post. It could be something to remind you. It could be a certificate you want, or something that makes you feel happy, or a photo of something. That could be a reminder for you, just to remind you to be happy, to be grateful, to remember what you're working for, right? Or to remind you to build a habit or to get something done. Electronic wise, it could be setting reminders on your phone, iPhone, Android, whatever you're using. There's always a reminders app. There's a calendar app that reminds you 2-3 times a day. For me, the two biggest ones have been when I actually do my daily tasks. Let's say I'm doing, task 1 takes me 2 hours to do, and I'm working online. I will legitimately pull up this website called timer-tab.com. If I know something's going to take me 2 hours, what I do is I'll probably cut that in half, and I'll go 1 hour, and I'll hit start, and I'll just start working. And I'm working, and I can see the timer going off to the side, which can be helpful or not, depending if it's helpful for you. I can like kind of hide it off to the side. But the great thing is, after an hour, the alarm goes off, and I'm like, crap, an hour is done. Sometimes you forget, well, like, oh crap, I have a whole nother hour left. I'm either really, really close or really, really far away from getting done. I need to move faster, or I can put higher quality work into what I'm doing. But that timer really helps me keep on track, so I don't spend one day doing everything. Okay. Apologize for the lighting here. Just the lighting. One day doing everything that I need to. The other thing I love doing is Apple Watch, because the Apple Watch, sometimes when you have a reminder on your cell phone and it's going off, and so like, maybe an alarm that's not music, can be really hard to hear and a little frustrating for me and or for other people. The benefit of an Apple Watch is it becomes a vibration. Apple Watch even has like a grounding exercise where it tells you to breathe every so often, or it reminds you to stand up. These are things you can do with an Apple Watch. So I love having my Apple Watch on me. I don't have one on me right now, but it allows me to create those physical timers throughout my day. And I can just stack timers like gratitude, journaling, whatever, walking outside, calling someone once a week, or whatever it is. Like the Apple Watch or my electronic reminders really, really help me. The last thing I want to talk about really, really quickly before I go into habits that you can create right now is to stack your habits. So what you can do is, here's a perfect example. Every hour, I'm going to take a break from what I'm doing. So I literally can make an Apple Watch timer that says break. So when I take a break, what I'm going to do is walk outside. That will be taking a break and then walking outside. That's 2 habits. That can literally be take a break. I literally walk outside for 5 minutes, feel a breath of air, take a deep breath, come back and drink a little bit of water. Now I literally just habit stacked being outside in nature, taking a breath, having water, doing a little quick grounding exercise, or just kind of being present and taking a breath and kind of decompressing. I just did 4 or 5 things. And that was a reminder that took me less than 2 minutes to set up on my Apple Watch, that now goes off every single hour, no matter what, like clockwork, Monday through Friday, or whatever it is. That is a really, really great way to start building habits now. If you are taking this course or you already started, how many times have you told yourself you're going to do X and haven't done it, right? And I feel like a lot of the times it's because we don't have that foundation of what we're building up to. These habits and these reminders help us get there. Now, what habits can we create right now? The first one I love that's easy to do is just drinking water. It could be easy as hey, every time this timer goes off or whatever, I'm going to drink water. That helps you feel energized, helps with health, helps with everything. Drinking water is so powerful. Drinking water. Everyone can agree drinking water is great. Other habits you can do is grounding exercise. It could be as easy as taking a breath, or just closing your eyes and just laying there and standing there and just reducing input and just relaxing and grounding, and not trying to think about anything important, just grounding, right? There's different ways to ground. You can literally go and touch the ground. You can sit down. You can be outside. You can ground, just ground, right? Again, breathing would be another one. It could be 3 deep breaths. It could be box breathing. It could be breath work, or it could just be taking a nice, good. That could be a breath, right? Boom, habit, check. That's a great habit to do. Stretching, we sit a lot. We're doing one thing too long. It could be bad posture, right? I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to stand up, quick arms, quick, stretch the leg, stretch the back while breathing, right? You could do that outside. That's stretching. You could also do connect. Connect could be checking your phone really quickly and just messaging someone, a loved one, a family member, being on a quick call, right? Connecting with yourself, connecting with nature, with other people. Self-care could be another one. What would self-care be? Self-care could be as easy as, cleaning yourself. It could be a habit of like making sure you look good, like cleaning your hair, flossing your teeth, putting makeup on, any kind of self-care, self-love, affirmation, asking yourself what you need. Just, it could literally be a habit of asking yourself, hey, what does my body need right now? Hey, what does my emotional self need right now? That is self-care. Compliments. It could be complimenting other people. You literally could create a habit of every single day, you're going to give someone else a compliment, and not a fake compliment of like, hey, look at someone and be like, oh man, I really like that notebook. That's really cool. Oh, I also like that too. Oh, I love your earrings. Oh, hey man, that's a really cool business you built. Hey man, sick shirt. Oh man, hey, I really love how you are able to do this in your job. I really respect that. That kind of stuff, it really comes right back at you. So building compliments could be a really great habit. Again, posture, it could be a reminder every half hour, like, hey, how's my posture with working, or whatever I'm doing. My posture for gratitude. Again, nature can't be overstated, just connecting with nature. I'm not going to dive into this too much. I've talked about it enough, but so many habits that you can start right now. And I recommend just trying to start now. Just don't give up in terms of like, I'm never going to try and build habits ever again. Just start and don't give up. So that's it for this section. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, routines. So we have our daily, right? We have our morning. We have our daily pages. We have our monthly pages. We have our vision pages. We have our self-reflection pages. But what about routines? Now, routines help us maintain flow or continuity between days, right? Imagine starting your day hungry, pissed off, tired, with a dead cell phone, and dirty, right? All these different things. It'd be really hard to manifest anything from that, right? Imagine going to sleep like that, waking up like that, right? It doesn't, we go through a lot in our lives. These morning and evening routines really help clear us and boost us up and get us up and ready for journaling, for getting into gratitude, for getting into meditation, for manifesting our goals, all these different things, super important. So that's the benefit of having a routine, right? We have habits that help on the daily, the small things, and we have our daily pages, and we have our morning and evening routines. It all is connective tissue to building out a really solid productivity system. So definitely create your own morning and evening routine. Inside the journal, you'll see a page here with some check marks. Regardless of wherever you keep your routine, even if your routine is on your phone or however you're using it, I apologize for that little cutoff right there. But whatever you do, make your routine and physically write it down. Whether it's on your phone or not, you want to write that down, because when you write down your routines, one, you're manifesting it. Two, you have a place to reference it, and you can always change it up. So leverage these pages or physically write them down somewhere, put them up somewhere next to your bed, wherever they are, put them in multiple places so you don't forget. The main thing is that you do them. Your routine can look different than someone else's routine. That's okay. The goal of your routine should be to get you in the best place, to feel good, and to get a lot of things done. So whatever that looks like for you, there's all different actions and habits you can create. Here is just a really quick roadmap of some morning or evening routines that I've done. If you want to copy them or leverage them or change them up yourself, there's a really great way of starting. Morning routine is to wake up, alarm goes off, And instead of hopping into your mind really quickly and like checklists, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be super ready to go, is to one, I'm in my bed and I wake up and I just ask myself, how do I feel? I literally am just with my eyes closed. How do I feel? Feel angry, feel tired, feel motivated. This literally can take 5, 10 seconds, a minute, whatever you want. I sit and I feel, literally I'm laying down with my eyes closed, the lights are off. I feel and I set my intention for the day. Today, I'm really going to do this. I'm really going to build this habit or break this bad habit or be this kind of person or try and accomplish this goal or really focus on gratitude today, right? So I want to feel, set my intention. It could take 20 seconds, right? But that is super important in my opinion. Then I'm going to get up and take a shower. I love hot showers. I feel like cold showers put me in my mind. I know there's a lot of benefits for cold showers. I know that, but for me, I love a hot shower. It just feels so good. Normally playing some nice, good music. And then I get into some quick self-care that could be, taking care of like physically washing yourself, lotions, whatever. That could also be an affirmation, whatever you want. Maybe you finish your hot shower with a quick cold shower at the very end. Some people love that, up to you. And then I personally get to wherever I am, I do a quick stretch just to get the body moving, just a nice quick stretch, feel the body. I could sit down, do a 1-minute meditation, no meditation, 50-minute meditation, 30-minute meditation, whatever, up to you. If you're not used to meditating, at least try and sit down for 30 seconds. Start with that. Literally, nobody does my face is I apologize. My face, I look like I have half a face. But nobody does a marathon on their first day, right? So meditation is not easy. It wasn't easy for me. I literally started just by sitting for 15 seconds and listening to cool music that calmed me down. That's how I started meditating, right? So that's okay to start that way as well. You should feel good at the end of your meditation. You feel good. And then after like a minute or two or however long I'm doing it, I'll get up and I'll do like 20 push-ups just to feel like a nice pump, get the blood flowing and just feel like I'm kind of like, working out the body just a little bit just to get things moving. Then I'll drink some water for many reasons, different ways to drink water, with intention, without, just to get hydrated, whatever. We need to lose a lot of water when we're sleeping. Make some quick breakfast, make my bed, because I love to make my bed as a habit for many reasons, and then coming back to a nice bed that you made yourself, and just setting the intention of getting action done throughout the day. The next one is I check for fires, because sometimes we plan everything out, or we want to do something, but all of a sudden we check our email and like, oh, I have this, that's going to change my entire day, right? I might get a text message that might change my entire day. I might get called into work, or project fails, or something happens. I want to check for fires right out of the gate to make sure I'm planning my day in the best way I can. And also look at my calendar to make sure I'm not missing a meeting or missing a big date or something coming up, whether it's today or the next day. Just look at my calendar really quickly. And then I move into the productivity planner that you already saw. I jump right into the daily page because I already done my goal setting. Everything is already lined up. I jump to my productivity planner, do the whole thing. Again, the gratitude section, the goals section. I write off my time boxing, like we all went through. I talked about, I know what's the most important. I know my top 3 things, and I go and I start the most important thing for my day, because now I feel good. I had a good meal. Everything's good to go. I know what's important, and I'm already accomplishing the number one most important thing that makes all else, like I'm just doing what's most important. And so that's what I'm focused on. And then normally after I'm done my number one thing or whatever, depending on my schedule, I'll go to the gym and then hop right back into my flexible time boxing, and just accomplish the rest until I finish it out. That's my routine. That's how I generally structure my day. Then the evenings is I will do that self-reflection pages I talked about when I'm done for the day, when I feel like I'm done working for the day or whatever it is. I'll go to the self-reflection page, or maybe I won't even do a self-reflection. Maybe, I love doing self-reflections every daily, but maybe I'll go on the daily pages and just say how I feel or whatever, or just sit with the feeling, whatever. But the self-reflection page, the big one, right? Go sideways. I do that whole process. I may look at my notes section for my daily pages, because maybe I wrote down notes like, check flights or, do something. I'll look at that page because I wrote something down, make sure I organize things the best way I can. I'll do a quick meditation or quick calming down, right? I'll clean up to make sure that my place is good to go, that I have all the energies are good to go. Everything's nice and organized, so I can just make sure I don't feel scattered when I wake up. I try to connect with at least one loved one throughout the day. Maybe that person's there next to you. Maybe they're far away. Maybe that's a phone call. Try and connect with at least one loved one every single day, regardless of how busy you are. I will always, this is for me, always lock my door, make sure everything's good, safe, charge all my electronics so that I make sure everything's good to go. Then I get ready for bed and then I go to sleep. So that's my morning and evening routine. That's my general structure. It changes as my life changes, right? And yours will probably be different, but this is an example that you can use. At a minimum, write your routine down physically. It'll be very, very helpful. You can duplicate it on your phone or whatever so you can access it quickly, but definitely write it down somewhere. So that's it for the routine pages, and I really hope that you use this in your personal life. Other pages to consider. So I already went through the most important pages, but as it relates to my journaling process or any journaling process or productivity system, these are other pages to consider. As it relates to a journal, I love having a quick reference page just where I can put big notes for whatever I'm doing. I don't really like to keep track of birthdays or random stuff like that are in most journals. So I just have on my journal, I have a quick reference page that reminds people of some of the things that I talk about high level. And then a little quick area to put things down, a habit tracker page for people who want to manually track habits or at least list down the habits that they want to work on. You can look at this as drink water. You can do it 7 days or 7 times a day, or you can see this as once a week or once a month, or whatever frequency you want to look at in terms of time, or however you want to do that. Feel free to leverage this habit tracker or use a habit tracker. And then again, in my journal that I have, I think it's very important to have a journal with a bunch of blank pages that you can use to do whatever you want, draw, free draw, free write, or just have places to take legitimate notes on whatever you're doing. Maybe it's a project or a group of ideas that you want to put down in a certain section. You can also have that as well. So all this is encompassed in my journal, in my system, and I believe that you should have the same as well. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about here are life hacks. So with life hacks, I already talked about a lot of different things, but these are just things I want to mention to you and just put in your mind if you've never heard about them before. Because I think there are things that are very powerful that you can explore and will definitely help you with whatever you're doing. I've already talked about nature, but the importance of being out in nature. We are human beings. We're not robots. So we need to be in nature. That can be as easy as taking a walk outside. When I used to work on my laptop at Starbucks, I started my nature walks with my 30-minute timer every 30 minutes. I would literally walk from the exit of Starbucks. I'd walk around, literally spend like 10, 15 seconds outside, take a deep breath, feel the sun on my face, and walk back in through the entrance. I would do that. Sometimes I'd spend a few minutes out there, but that was my nature walk. That was my walk in my sunlight every 30 minutes. But, now I may take a longer walk. Some people take, walk with their dog or just walk outside, take a lap around the block, walk to the park, feel the grass, feel the tree, whatever you want, but just get outside. Specifically, sunlight really helps, sunlight and air for many reasons. Showers, like I said, I love hot showers, but people love cold showers. The water itself is very cleansing. There's a reason why you feel good after a shower, and it's not just because of the temperature. Water is very cleansing to the spirit. It's very cleansing for the energy. It's very cleansing. It sounds really weird, but I even drink water in the shower if the water is drinkable. It's just very calming, right? So showers and water are very good, whether you're drinking it or feeling it. Next one is gym. Whether it's building your confidence, building your strength, moving your flexibility, or just getting movement in, super important for the body. Meditation, we already know it's meditation all the time. Breath work, there's different ways of breathing, right? There's a whole industry about breath work. But at a minimum, you can do what's called box breathing, or just breathing, holding it for 3 to 4 counts, right? And then there's all different types of ways to breathe, but at a minimum, you could just take nice, big, deep breaths from your belly, let your belly fill up, get fat with it and come up, and then exhale through your nostrils, breathe in. Very, very powerful. Your breath is life. So breathing, super important. Timers, I already talked about different ways to use timers and reminders. Connecting with other people, with yourself, with your friend. You find a community. Sometimes your community or your network, like your coworkers, may not have similar mindsets of what you want to achieve. So that community could be online. It could be a free Facebook group. It could be a mentorship. It could be another friend community and people who are doing other things than you. It doesn't matter. Find connection with other people and connect with yourself. Very, very important. Your health, your mental health, your physical health, your diet, your guts, your gut diet, what you eat, what you consume will consume you. I mean that what you consume will consume you, not just what you eat, but everything else in between. So make sure you have good gut health, because your gut is very directly linked to your vagus nerve, your mind, and the two from a body system level really, really make a big impact on how you work. You may not think that, but we all can agree someone who eats McDonald's every day for 30 days, imagine them trying to build a business and how they would feel versus somebody who ate healthy every day for 30 days and how they would feel and what they would manifest, right? We can probably both agree the guy who ate McDonald's every day for 30 days probably wouldn't be the one that you want as your boss or the one you want working for you or building your business or being your coworker in terms of how they would feel, because you know how you would feel on a 30-day McDonald's diet, right? So your diet really matters. Music is frequency, it's sound, it's energy. It puts your mind, your body reacts to music, not just how you like, oh yeah, cool music. Your body actually reacts to sounds, to words. They make a big impact on how you think and everything. So music, want some that just inspires you. You have an inspired playlist that you always listen to. If not, you always have binaural beats, which are like a big thing, or theta type of state of music that really helps your mind relax. So you're not as focused on the lyrics, but whatever gets you in flow, whatever gets you up, moving and working, start with that. The next one is muscle response testing for decision making. This one is super next level, and it's a little bit crazy to most people, but your body does keep the count. Your intuition does know a lot. If you want to learn more about this, just Google it. Muscle response testing for decision making is basically asking your body whether or not you should do something or not. Feel free to take it however you want or not take it at all. This is something I've been doing a lot lately, which has been really beneficial for me. I'll let you go down that rabbit hole if you are interested in that, but it is very powerful. The next one is to calm your nervous system. A lot of the times we don't realize that we're actually in a slight version of fight or flight because we are either agitated, frustrated, pushing too much. And sometimes we just have to calm ourselves down, right? Some people call it grounding. Sometimes we call it just relaxing, whatever, but we want to calm our nervous system. If you really want to dive into this, one of the best ways to calm your nervous system is to calm your vagus nerve, which is one of the most important nerves in your body, and how that relates to your vagus system, your nerve, to your stomach, to your everything, right? You can go down that path if you want to learn how to calm down your vagus nerve, but just realize you want to be calming down your nervous system throughout the day and or what we call grounding yourself. Different ways to ground yourself, right? With your body, with so many different ways. The one thing I want to kind of mention to you, and this is really outside the course of productivity, but this, in my opinion, is like really big North Star type of stuff for your life, is watch out for how you cope while you're trying to be productive. There's a difference between building something healthy in your life for yourself, your body, your spirit, your loved ones, your purpose, your impact on life. There are a lot of ways to get something done, and there are a lot of unhealthy ways to get things done. Watch out for how you cope. Coping could be sexual. How are you coping in your sexual life? How are you coping with your diet? How are you coping with how you treat other people, with how you treat yourself? Watch out for how you cope, because every time you cope, there is an opposite effect to that. So just, you could be building things and reaching your financial, apologies, the lights are going off here. You could be reaching financial success or success in other parts of your life, but sometimes when we cope, it comes at a cost. So just watch out for how you cope and be very aware of that, and it could be something worth working on in your life. And the last thing is to become the observer. As we're going through our life, right, we're doing all these kind of things. We're trying to be productive. It could be very easy to slip into this productivity mindset, but try to step back sometimes and observe your thoughts, right? That's the point of the self-reflection. Try and observe how you go about your life. Observe what you eat, what you consume, the music you do, the people you're around, the networks you're with, how you think about things, how you set tasks, where you are, everything. Become the observer in your life so that you can take action and have the opportunity to move your life in the direction that you want to be the most productive version of yourself. I want to talk about my intention for you. So this is how my intention for myself, and this is why I've kind of come to how I think about getting things done. Earlier in the course, I talked about taking massive action, right? That's how I first started with action taking. As I thought to myself, oh, massive action. It can't just be any kind of action. It has to be massive action. Try and find a statement for you or an intention for you that makes things click in your head for how you want to move forward. This for me is what I'm currently on, and it's pretty long, but I want to, one, verbalize this just so you can see what I'm thinking about, but then also maybe set an intention for you. And this is what I hope for you to have as well in terms of, apologize for that. This is, oh, nope, not that. This is what I hope. Let me go back. Apologize. This is what I hope that you will also maybe have some version of this for you. So it goes like this. I will take massive action in flow state every single day by creating an environment conducive to deep work while operating from a place of purpose, while being centered and grounded so that I can achieve my goals and become the highest version of myself for myself and others. That's my intention. And I hope that you have similar intentions, and that I hope this intention also applies to you. Remember this: wherever the mind goes, energy flows, right? Energy is action. Action is manifestation, right? And manifestation, all that stuff bleeds into productivity, and it all starts with this. It all starts with your mind. And we are more than just our mind, body, and spirit, right? So this productivity course really is just half of the equation, in my opinion. Productivity, as we think about productivity, we really think about taking physical action, right? And the journal really helps us with the mind and doing, but there are other aspects, and I try to touch on that with the meditation, with all these other things. So be keeping that in mind as you go through your productivity journey to accomplish your goals. What you can do is now go to reggieyoung.com/journal resources, and there you will find resources for everything I talk about in this course and more. Links to my favorite meditation playlists that I personally save and listen to when I'm trying to meditate or just calm down. Some of my favorite playlists there. My motivation playlist. For me, literally, if you are not accomplishing your goals, put this into your habit of when you wake up in the morning, click on this playlist and hit play. And I'll be surprised if you can go 30 minutes listening to this playlist and not want to get to work. The next one is prompts and affirmations, right? I talked a lot about in the self-reflection, you can use a prompt. And the daily pages, you can use an affirmation. Here, I will link to a ton of prompts and affirmations that you can write down every single day or reflect on whenever you want. You'll also find links to digital version of this course, other links. And then last reminder, for anyone who is a Vault member, when you go to reggieyoung.com/planner or sign up for the Vault, I just want to remind people who do sign up for the Vault that you do get a free copy of the physical journal as well. So that's it for this course. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this and watch this. Make this whatever is best for you. Again, you know what's best for you. If you are not accomplishing your goals, come here, use this as a framework, try and be disciplined about it, and then make it for whatever is best for you. Okay. Thank you so much and take care.